Welcome. It's Thursday, November the 16th, 2023. This is my co-host Nimbus right here. And this is Blake Walley over there.
Hello.
So if you're not following Blake.
Hello, Nimbus.
Yes.
It's my old
Uncle
buddy.
Blake.
Yes.
Yeah. You took care of him for quite some time. Well, yeah. You were his surrogate you're Uncle Blake. You'll always be Uncle Blake to Nimbus. So welcome to my co-hosts today on the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media, because the old American media has failed us. My name is Brian Engelman. I think I already said that, and I already gave you today's date. But I will tell you some of the stories we were going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the FCC digital discrimination bill. Has that killed our internet? We're going to ask about Nikki Haley's idea to eliminate online anonymity. Does that make sense? Also, the ghost bus evidence. Sounds like something out of a Scooby-Doo episode. Will that prove a deep state setup on J6? ? Also, stories with inconvenient narratives. Should they be downplayed? Also, do we need more government surveillance of online hate speech? Wait a minute. Was that the same one? Maybe that one got doubled up. I think that was the Haley one got doubled up. Also, we're going to give you some updates on a couple of stories that we brought to you last show. There has been some information that has come out on the Las Vegas killings, the mob of 15 that killed that one human being, and the hockey killer, Matt Pengrave. Say his name, Matt Pengrave. Matt Pengrave. Make him famous. Matt Pengrave. Ask yourself, why is his name being hidden? Yes, that kind of goes into the previous topic that I mentioned about stories with inconvenient narratives needing to be downplayed. We also have an update on Hunter Biden and the cocaine.
What about the inconvenient headlines, Brian? Because I don't remember putting most of these in the stack. I think Brian is trying to avoid some of the other headlines I was putting in today's show. But that's fine.
No, I've repeatedly told Blake.
Afraid of talking about the yes.
Go ahead, finish your point.
Israel and the hospital bombing and some other things going on with, yes, the Zionist propaganda perhaps being exposed, maybe, but yes, something we should cover. And some interesting debates between characters and some interesting disputes going on behind the scenes with Shapiro and Candace Owens, and the big debate with Laura Loomer and Dave Smith, comedian last night. That was also very good. And yes, Glenn Greenwald and other people are calling out. The thumbnail for today's episode was, yes, the supposed cache of weapons that were found in this hospital that was just bombed in Gaza. So yes, maybe it was, maybe it's not, maybe it's staged, maybe it's real, but it is a very interesting story. All right.
As I've mentioned to Blake, I do not want to do a show on Israel every single fucking episode. I find it to be highly redundant. Oh my God, there's turmoil in the Middle East. There's turmoil in the Middle East. Wow, there's breaking news. Guess what? I got the scoop on a hospital. No, you don't. Guess what? A baby was killed. No, my baby was killed. Everybody's getting killed. It sucks. And it's the most redundant, repetitive story. Nobody has the actual information. I find it to be tedious as shit, but we will cover it, because after we get through those stories, we're going to talk about Hamas militants. Are they hiding in hospitals, and do they deserve the bombings? Is the Pro-Palestine protest at DNC HQ worse than the J6 event? We're going to talk about Gaza requiring a ceasefire until somebody investigates something. Should Shapiro step down from his company because he's feuding with Candace Owens? And Laura Loomer, did she destroy Dave Smith in Israel-Palestine's debate? All these topics and more will be covered. I swear to you, they will be covered. We'll have our 3 minutes hate. What is it from Orwell? 5 minutes hate? It's the 5 minutes hate, right?
I don't know that one. I don't get that reference.
You've never read 1984?
Well, I've seen the movie. I've read it. Yeah, a long time ago, but I don't remember all of it. 2 minutes? Okay.
The political purpose of the 2 minutes hate is to allow the citizens of Oceania to vent their existential anguish and personal hatred. Oh, this is actually good. The next sentence here. Here we go. Well, geez, Wikipedia. Don't do that to me. It gives me a big thing. Okay. 2 minutes hate, the daily public period during which members of the outer and inner party of Oceania must watch a film depicting, guess who? Emmanuel Goldstein, the principal enemy of the state, and his followers, the Brotherhood, and loudly voice their hatred for the enemy and then their love for Big Brother. Yes, Goldstein. It's 2 minutes to hate the Jew. Some stories just kind of repeat themselves, don't they? So, yes, we will always give Blake a chance to bash Zionism.
Talk about the major stories going on. That was the major stories. We're talking. All your headlines are like 3 days ago stories because you don't want to talk about Zionism.
I told you it's the most redundant story, and nobody has accurate information. So what are we even bitching about? Like, it bugs the shit out of me.
I know.
It really does.
I would bug me too to try to mindlessly defend Israel for everything that they do. Like, it's cult behavior. It's crazy. But I do get a kick out of watching you do the mental gymnastics. So
good. Let's get into today's first topic. All right. Yeah, aside from there's turmoil in the Middle East, shocking. Something I find way more interesting is losing our ability to use the internet. And the FCC has adopted a new rule to eliminate digital discrimination. Yes, air quote. That's as believable as the Patriot Act being patriotic. So, Blake, agree or disagree that the FCC digital discrimination bill has killed our internet?
Well, this is a story that came out yesterday, and you retweeted it at me from Kyle Becker, but it was actually from the Daily Brief. I don't know if that's Chuck Woolery's part of that. I can't remember. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I haven't seen a follow-up on that. So something that happened yesterday, and as much as I looked at all of the news feeds, I didn't see anything new about it. But it is, it's alarming. I don't know if it's a headline story or not. It could be, potentially.
It's the biggest story in the world, in my opinion.
In your opinion, yes. But on Twitter or on any of these news outlets, I didn't see anything else outside of that one article about it. And even, I search a lot of stuff. Activist Post, freedom of... Yeah, there's a lot of different places. I just could not find anything. So I'm not seeing anybody raise the alarm on it yet. So maybe it's nothing. It could be.
Well, let's just go through it and alert you to what's happened, because they first came for the platforms. Remember that. It was, who was the first major person that got censored, Blake? Was it Milo? Because Milo was kicked off of Twitter before even Alex was. Was Milo the first canary in the coal mine? The first major prominent political pundit character to be removed from social media? To your recollection, was there anyone bigger before Milo?
We'll just say he was one of them. I don't know. I don't know if he was the first, but probably one of the more prominent in the beginning that got shut down.
Well,
Facebook and various other places, yes.
This has had different names. There's CISA, CISA. There's also net neutrality was the big buzzword last time, and that almost went through. But first they came for the platforms. And during the 2020 election, anybody that didn't really lap up what Fauci was saying about the bioweapon unleashed from China, anybody that didn't buy in completely to the most secure election in American history, these people were banned. They were eliminated from having a voice online. When you saw sites like Truth Social pop up, when you saw Rumble, so Truth Social popped up to rival Twitter, I don't know, maybe Facebook. Rumble popped up to rival YouTube. Truth Social jumped up there to rival X, Twitter. And this is before Elon Musk bought the platform. Everybody was going after the people and just banning the people. But when new platforms came up, what was that other one? The other
Gab, there was Parler.
Parler was the one. Parler started getting some traction, and they slapped it down. So first they came for the platforms. Now they're coming for their internet service providers. So let me just buzz through some of the general information here to put this on your radar, because this needs to be – we need to understand what just happened here. The Federal Communications Commission implemented new rules banning internet providers from discrimination. So, by the way, just pause there. Anytime you hear the buzzwords equity, diversity, inclusion, discrimination. These are all code words for trying to scam some shit through. It sounds good and it feels good. Oh, it's patriotic. It's a Patriot Act. Okay. So banning internet providers from discrimination in how they provide service to communities based on income level, race, and other protected classes. So some classes are protected, but if you have the wrong opinion, I am certain you will not be protected here. So they've enacted new rules intended to eliminate discrimination in access. It's a move that regulators are calling the first major U.S. digital civil rights policy. Another nice buzzword there. The rules package, which the commission ratified on Wednesday, would empower the agency to review and investigate instances of discrimination by broadband providers to different communities based on income, race, ethnicity, and other protected classes. So the order also provides a framework for the FCC now to crack down on a range of digital inequities, including the disparities in the investment of services for different neighborhoods, as well as the digital divide, a term that experts use to describe a complete lack of internet access many communities experience due to regional or socioeconomic inequality. FCC Chairwoman Jessica Rosenworcel, wow, never met a Rosenworcel before. She says that Congress required the agency to adopt rules addressing digital discrimination through bipartisan infrastructure legislation passed at the start of the Biden administration. So basically, we should also remember that most things that are passed by the Biden administration should be viewed very skeptically. The digital divide puts us at an economic disadvantage as a country and disproportionately affects communities of color, lower income areas, and rural areas. So this is all buzzwords. And essentially, I could keep going. I think you kind of get the gist. There is now, they say there's no clear standard for tracking inequities. So the internet has just changed. So the rules allow the agency to examine whether an ISP, an internet service provider, knowingly discriminated against the community on how it built, upgraded, and maintained internet access. So anytime these things start happening, when you start taking from what exists and giving to others, you're going to also create the ability to divest and lower the quality of internet to other people. And I wonder which groups of people are going to get lowered. So during Wednesday's FCC hearing, Brandon Carr, one of the agency's commissioners, argued that these policies open up the agency to potential litigation and would hamper operations in the TCOM industry. It's not about discrimination, it's about control, said Carr, who said that the telecommunications industry had entered a Faustian bargain by supporting the bipartisan law and had previously called the framework a power grab. So this is a quick action to bring back the important oversight powers that the agency needs to do its job. It says ignoring disparate impact would have denied Congress's directive to this agency. It's simply not plausible that we could prevent and eliminate digital discrimination by solely addressing intentional discrimination. So the FCC is now poised to re-implement landmark net neutrality rules that were rescinded under the Trump administration. Obama put it through, Trump took it away, Biden, Obama put it right back in. This is the biggest flashing red light I could give all of you out there. Every episode that we do could be our last. President Joe Biden has said that the investments in the bipartisan infrastructure are meant to connect every U.S. household to quality internet, blah, blah, blah. Whatever the FCC does in terms of discipline or punishment, I hope that the benefit goes to the community being discriminated against in the form of more equitable deployments, said Christopher Ali, a professor in TCOM at PSU. That's going to be a difficult order, but we need to make sure the communities are reaping all the benefits of these decisions. That doesn't make sense. The companies have been punished. It's unclear at the moment how many complaints would be needed for the FCC to elevate it to an investigatory issue. So maybe then that's where the community groups, there we go, community groups and local organizations will become absolutely vital in doing what, I don't know, the Southern Poverty Law Center, APAC, there's a million groups that do nothing but try to do what Peloton did to comedian Theo Von. There was a great, this is a story we should have covered last show or maybe today, but Theo Von told Dana White of the UFC that Peloton reached out to him and said, oh, you know what? we had a conversation. We had an episode with JFK Jr. RFK Jr. You're a fan of RFK Jr., Blake. And Peloton, one of the sponsors for Theo Von's podcast, they reached out to him and said, you're going to take that episode down. And Dana White, head of the UFC, heard that story and said, they did what? Said, yeah. They said, oh, I don't know. We're going to do some funding. We can't have you getting advertising money from us and having someone like RFK Jr. on. And Dana White was like, I would never vote for a Democrat. I would never vote for RFK Jr. But the fact that they told you who you can and can't vote for, who you can and can't talk to, he instantly said, hey, what do we have in our gym? We have Pelotons? All right, throw them in the trash today. We're done. And he's like, we need more people standing up to companies like this with big middle fingers saying, tell them to fuck off. So anyway, the regulation of the internet service providers is a massive failure for us. It's a massive tragedy. Everything that this administration and these cronies, their lackeys, what do you say? The cronies, hackies, lackeys, and
hacks, flax, and lackeys.
Hacks, flax, and lackeys. Everything that they do has an ulterior motive. And this is just dangerous as anything else can be. Obviously, Elon Musk now has his Starlink, which is an alternative. But if the FCC gets to govern all of this, I assure you they're coming for our internet, Blake. So any thoughts on that? Maybe you were saying you don't quite see how it's going to implement and degrade our service right off the bat. Or do you see how Obama put it in, Trump took it out, Biden just put it back in, and once we lose the internet, we've lost everything? It really, in my opinion, Blake, it's time to head for the hills, completely disconnect, go completely off the grid, because we're done. We're done as a species if they're allowed to lie to us with impunity.
Yeah, it's always the threat of tyrants trying to control news and information. So, yes, I wouldn't want them meddling around with that. Yes, Obama tried very hard to control and regulate the internet. And there's always a fight going on. But I know there was a vote on it yesterday. Outside of that, I'm not seeing anything, too alarming. Outside of that, certainly, significant enough to talk about, and always be vigilant. But I don't have too much else until it's something more substantial going on, and then people can gather together to fight. Not physically.
Well, now it's on our radar. Let's keep our eyes peeled for, what did Nancy Pelosi say famously about Obamacare? I can't wait to pass it so that we can find out what's in it. So now that the FCC has done what the FCC has done, now we're going to have to figure out what it exactly means and how they're going to come after our service providers. They tried to take down, first they came for the trade unionists, but I wasn't a trade unionist, so I said nothing. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to stand up for me. So, hi, Blake. Hi, Brian, says Jocelyn. Hi over there in Sedona. Thank you so much. But this story kind of piggybacks nicely into Nikki Haley's. She had a plan. She released this new idea. She thinks it's a really good idea, Blake. So do you agree or disagree with Nikki Haley's idea to eliminate online anonymity? Does this make sense? Is this common sense?
No, I disagree. In one level, it makes sense because there's, anonymous people that are just there to be trolls and be disruptive, and they hide behind, anonymous pseudonym. And I get that. And there are people that I think that should be doxxed because they spread propaganda. I'd like to know more about what they do and what their motives are and who's funding them. But then again, you can talk about, our forefathers who had to speak in different codes. They couldn't, present themselves publicly. It could be very dangerous. And a lot of people that are outspoken or maybe in high levels of sensitivity, they put themselves at risk. Their careers, their families, everything by trying to speak out on, justifiable issues. So
yeah, they risk their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. Remember the Federalist, that was commonly referred to as the Federalist Papers, a series of 85 essays written by Alexander Hamilton, John Jay, and James Madison between October 1787 and May 1788. The essays were published anonymously under the pen name Publius in various New York State newspapers of the time. Yes, they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor, and they were fearing retribution from the tyrants of the day. Nothing has changed. And the Supreme Court has repeatedly ruled that anonymous speech is speech. Anonymous speech is protected First Amendment speech. But Nikki Haley, she thinks she's the smartest person in the room, right? She says, if we don't know who people are, now I'm paraphrasing, but if we can't identify everybody, how are we going to stop? Checks notes. What was it? North Korea, Russia. There were 2 other countries she named. I don't know if you have an article that buzzes through her exact quote and what she said, Blake.
Maybe. I've got an article. I don't know if it's got everything, but we can certainly talk about it. It's actually not even that long. And yeah, she got blasted pretty good yesterday online for saying this. So the backlash was swift and glorious. Nikki Haley says she will eliminate anonymity online to fight anti-Semitism. A Republican candidate, a neocon Nikki, who actually, it was fun because that's not even her real name. She changed her own name from Nimarata Randawa, insisted, even though she says every person on social media should be verified by their name. Here it is.
When I get into office, the first thing we have to do, social media accounts.
First thing, social media accounts. So when Biden signed like 50 executive orders, but if it's her day and she gets in, one of the first things she's going to do is this.
Social media companies, they have to show America their algorithms. Let us see why they're pushing what they're pushing. The second thing is every person on social media should be verified by their name. That's, first of all, it's a national security threat. When you do that, all of a sudden people have to stand by what they say, and it gets rid of the Russian bots, the Iranian bots, and the Chinese bots. And then you're going to get some civility when people know their name is next to what they say.
Accountability.
And they know their pastor and their family member is going to see it. It's going to help our kids, and it's going to help our country.
It sounds good in theory, but it's a two-edged sword. And yeah, that has a problem with it. These people could be persecuted for their online activism, which might be in good faith, but they can't speak out. Like some of these people that were in other countries are not going to be able to.
By the way, right here,
yeah,
the lady who says we need to go by her real name, her name is Nimarata Nikki Randhawa Haley, and she's going by a fake name of Nikki Haley. She's not using her real name. She's using roughly 1/2 of her name, maybe 40% of her name. She got rid of Nimarata and Randhawa. So how did Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy, how did 2 Indians end up right at the top of the GOP? It's just, I find it interesting. I can't remember another Indian that was kind of vying for the presidential position, but now we have 2 of them. Nimarata Nikki Randhawa Haley wants us to use our real names. Have to. Go figure. Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out, Blake. I just wanted to show people what her real name is, because she's not even abiding by her own policy proposals. I find that the typical Washington reaction. Rules for Xi, but not for thee. Yeah, we'll clean up the city when our real boss in China comes by. But yeah, the rest of the year, you have to step over human filth, and then you do a hopscotch diagonal to avoid the hypodermic needles. But yeah, we'll clean up when Chinese leaders come in, and we really should show pictures of how they turned San Francisco into a Chinese outpost with nonstop flags as far as the eye could see. It made me want to vomit. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, I mean, we could celebrate the American diversity by having some of these other cultures or to represent. Yeah, and of course, I am a big fan of Vivek Ramaswamy. Not so much a fan of neocon Nikki, who takes her marching orders from the deep state, pretty much. She is a controlled asset. So she's dangerous. But let's see. We'll get into some of this. For a partial transcript from her, she was always saying target anti-Semitism again by getting rid of. And, you know, we need to condemn the people that are just anonymously sending out awful stuff. But that's, you know, that can be done pretty easily. but without actually having to dox them. But anyway, but here we go. It is cowardly. So there's parts I agree with, but no. And yes, because it can be used as pretty easily. And you don't want to give a government that much power, because that's the kind of thing that they do. And here's the list of countries. Yes, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea. You're not allowed to present those sorts of views there. You could be thrown in jail. But she says, yes, when I get into office, and we have to do social media accounts. It would be interesting to see some of the algorithms, the way that they are controlling information. People are obviously skeptical of TikTok, which has seemingly different algorithms for whether people or for the Americans, whether they're kind of dumbing us down or whatnot, showing us different things. And of course,
but also Blake, perhaps the biggest problem with that is that they have the heat button. They can push up a story like George Floyd that can help Americans turn on themselves to burn their own cities down. They can make any story seem way bigger than it actually is at any moment. Yes, they can hijack our data. Yes, they can dumb our people down, but they also have the ability to manipulate the news media to make things seem more outrageous, urgent, and outrageous than they really are. And that, I think, is probably one of the most terrifying aspects to China having access to the kids of this country. The idiots of their own cities burning their own cities down because of what happened up in Minnesota. By the way, I don't know if you saw that update, but Chauvin has now officially posted an appeal based on the new evidence from the autopsy, saying, he needs to be released immediately because he did not contribute to that guy's death. So keep your eyes peeled on that story.
Yeah, that came out over a week ago. Yeah, he's going to be continuing to fight that, and the truth does need to come out. And yeah, we've burned half the country down over that. And it turned out to be a BS story. It's incredible. But yeah, it is the power of the social media. And yes, Facebook, who knows how they even do the algorithms there. I'm not sure how my news feed is even curated there. At least on Twitter, I can follow it chronologically if I want to on lists. But there are different options. And that was changed too, because I know, Brian, you don't use a list. You just go to homepage and just find whatever's there. But if people are shadow banned, you're not going to see them. And then they'll
yeah, that might be true. Jocelyn said global censorship incoming. Dreamer says Nikki said the quiet part out loud with her totalitarian leanings. That's an interesting phrase. Her totalitarian leanings, yes, as people like to say in these types of situations. Oh yeah, she said the quiet part out loud. That's for damn sure. And people have responded, by the way. People have responded to her. Do you have some of the reactions as well, Blake?
Well, I don't want to repeat the top comment in there. I was just about to go look, Brian, but yes, she did get thrashed on Twitter. I did see that quite a bit. But yes, she's not too well liked outside of her own little neocon bubble, her little deep state circle that she's embroiled herself in and enriched herself in, as she was called out by Vivek at the last debate. So, no. Pretty much condemned all the way around.
Well, the AP is saying that she's walked back her demand now that social media do that. But yeah, there were some incredible reactions. I had the page pulled up, and now I don't know where it went. Elon Musk, doggone it, Nikki Haley reaction.
Oh yeah, it was big. Yeah, I'm not going to find anybody like standing up for it, going, "Yeah, I think Nikki Haley is doing the right thing." Yeah. She's right on. She's saying what everyone else is thinking. No. And there's a lot of people that do run anonymous accounts. Of course, they are not pleased by that.
Okay, I did happen to just find that article that I was looking for. Sorry, I'm juggling about 100 things over here, so please bear with me.
And Brian's just trying to run up the clock because he doesn't want to talk about one of the big elephant.
I've already explained. Turmoil in the Middle East is the most boring topic I could possibly imagine. I can't even figure out where this page is, so I can't full screen it and whatever. But if you look around, top left picture, that's not in San Francisco. Top left, top right, several of these. A couple of them are not. I was going to try to, I don't know. I can't even find the damn page there, so I'm not going to show you. But that's what San Francisco looked like
anyway, yes,
when the real boss came to town. But anyway, some of the reaction to Nikki Haley's ridiculous suggestion came from Elon Musk. Where's the article? I got to double click. You can hear my co-host meowing in the background. Yep. Not sure why exactly. Did you double click that? I will double click that. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Triple click. Okay.
Sign up the newsletter, Brian. There you go.
Oh yeah. I'll get.
Oh, you should have just looked up Twitchy. I can go find. Is it Twitchy? I'm sure there's something in there. I'll dig around while you cover that.
You know what? I am having an issue here. I can't. I have too many tabs. I'm trying to close them so that I can see what I. Doggone it.
Brent, when's the last time you've shut down the computer? Okay. All right.
Yeah, I have too many tabs open. I figured it out. Okay.
Well, Brent, when's the last time you actually shut down the computer and did just keep forcing it to sleep?
Okay, now I found it, but I don't understand. Okay, so there we go. Musk and Ramaswamy torch Nikki for disgusting social media comments. I like that picture of Vivek. So Elon and Vivek back Haley this week.
Can we get rid of that newsletter thing?
What's up?
Can we get rid of that newsletter thing? Really? Oh, that's all I see on mine.
Yeah, it is gone on my screen. Yeah, my computer is going quite slowly here. But I know you're seeing something that is.
I got ads too.
How do I get? You try to show
ad.
Yeah, I just want to get rid of it. I don't know how. It's.
Here we go. Yeah, I was at a Twitchy. They reported Tuesday evening presidential. Which one? Are you ready, Brian? Because I can close mine. Go for it. There you go, Brian.
Okay, Vivek wasted no time in responding to the 2024 political opponent taking to social media to label her comments as disgusting. Ex-owner Elon Musk also chimed in, calling Haley's remarks super messed up. In response, Ramaswamy added one final jab in reference to Haley's connections to the defense industry. Trust that Raytheon would be willing to open up a seat on their board earlier than planned, Ramaswamy said. The political dogfighting comes a week. They got into a heated exchange. Little Ronnie DeSantis, who cares? But this isn't the Musk story. That I think Musk added that her. God, I had the story pulled up. I can't seem that her campaign is essentially over. She can stop pretending to be a political candidate now. Happen to see that one?
Not specifically that one, but I'm seeing the people on Twitchy. They're saying, yeah, she's imploding. Do you ask how she would determine the nationality or location of an anonymous user? Would she ban VPNs too? Nikki Haley campaign tells us all a different remassaged lie to cover up for the accidental exposure of her tyrannical agenda that would destroy free speech in America. It's sad. This is not what she said. She said people would be more polite if they had to use their name on social media. Sorry, Nikki, you can't backtrack on what we all heard. And yeah, she's trying to flip-flop to try to appeal to everybody because she got exposed. The backlash was swift and glorious, and she was exposed. And now, yes, her campaign is on life support, as it should be.
I said something on X. By the way, follow us. The New American Media is at American_media_. And also go ahead and follow Blake. He is at TV's Blake Walley. But I said something that Nikki Haley has gone from, I wish I had it pulled up, but she's gone from irrelevant to crazy to dangerous. Like who is her support? Does she have any support? Does she really? Is she really
from her donors, from neocons? Yeah, that's about it. So who else outside of Washington? Not really. Not in the. I mean, she's got like a lot of the Fox people, the neocons who think she's pretty or something. That would be it. Bunch of old boomers. They go, yeah, Nikki Haley. Yeah, she's great. Well, not for me, but for if I was a middle-aged dude that watched Fox all day, then yeah, maybe I would. You know, but
I mean, I think we're in our middle age, right? What would double our age be?
You think we're middle-aged? I guess we're in our 40s, but I mean, we're not like, I don't think we're that. I think you got to be like 50 to be middle-aged. Right?
A couple of years. All right, we got a couple.
We're halfway to death, right? Because I'll probably, I don't know if I can live to. What am I, 46? Can I be 92? Yeah, I'm probably over the halfway point.
That's what I'm saying. We're in the middle of our ages.
Yeah.
We've lived long, interesting lives from Vegas to Ohio to Los Angeles to wherever we are now. Okay, so yeah. So that's Nikki Haley. I don't know if you showed some of these comments, but we'll just move on to the next story. I don't know what you were showing us there. Okay. Any other final thoughts on Nikahama Ramaswamy? I don't know her name.
Nope.
I had it pulled up. I don't have it committed to memory. What was her name? Nikahama.
Yeah, something like that. Fair enough. Yeah, she's using a fake name. She's a hypocrite. She's bought and paid for by military contractors. She's a deep state asset. She's not to be trusted. But I hope she makes the fourth debate, and I hope she gets destroyed again on the national stage. She deserves it, and we all need to see that exposed. The corrupt candidates. Right. We need more populists. Thank you.
I figured her name wasn't Cortez Hernandez. It's Nimarata Nikki Randhawa Haley. I've never heard of a Nimarata or a Randhawa, but there you go. She's the one that wants us to use our real names, but she's out there going by Eminem, essentially. So anyway, I digress. She's using a pseudonym. Good for her, but not for us. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic.
Okay.
All right, Blake, agree or disagree that the ghost bus evidence will prove a deep state setup on J6? There was a big accusation that came out recently, and it was very heated. This is a repeated heated situation, and you saw, a situation with a union boss and one of the congressmen have to get broken up by Bernie Sanders the other day. I mean, it's almost like we're going back to the duel days of Alexander Hamilton and John Jay. Like they're gonna go to fisticuffs, right? And like everything is like teetering on the verge of insanity right now. But anyway, this is a very heated exchange. So let's discuss the ghost bus. Do you think the evidence will prove a deep state setup on J6?
Well, I would like to see that investigation go through and see what actually happens. But I did try to remove this story from the stack at the last minute. Brian insisted we put it in, but we will cover it. We might as well.
Well, do you want to know why I insisted? The reason I insisted
because you didn't want to talk about the Israel hospital bombing.
Oh, for the love of God, you hate the Jews. We get it.
Oh my God! What the hell? Look at that! Look how Brian twisted.
This was a big story. And it seemed very interesting that they might be dead to rights. And then it comes out that on further investigation, you have this article here. We need to call out the stories that are floating around out there that may or may not be accurate so that we can be sharp in how we're sharing our stories and so that we have the latest up-to-date versions. So I know we wanted to take it out because it's like, oh, well, maybe there's not a smoking gun, but it's important. And I put it in because I got excited. You got excited. It looked like he had damning evidence, but does he? If he doesn't, we need to cover that too. Otherwise, we're going to look stupid, and other people on the side of facts and reality, they're going to be sharing things that may not be accurate, and we should tell them about that. That's why I'm doing it, not to run out the clock on your favorite topic. You'll have plenty of time for your 2 minutes 8. I promise. You get it every show.
Maybe 2 minutes at the end.
I give you the floor for that last topic every show. I don't interrupt you. I let you go. I let you lay it all out there.
Clearly, that might be the biggest story, but we'll save the best for last. All right, Brian. Fair enough. You know what I am excited about is that big flower bud on the top right of the screen there, getting that dink flower delivered to my door, and that silver eagle looks pretty cool. So yes, now that I've canceled my subscription for the Gateway Pundit, I'm now getting all the ads back. But yeah, that one.
Well, hey, that's better than two things that look like testicles. like if the skin was removed. Every other ad that you see on these sites, it's something gross and porous and flappy and flabby, and it's just the most disgusting stuff. I can look at an egg. An egg doesn't bother me, but these other ones, like an engorged foot with an exploded bunion or something, they're the worst. These ads are so terrible.
Yeah, that was kind of a big reason why I subscribed to it. And I do like the Gateway Pundit. But yes, it was almost because we're covering these articles frequently. And I don't want to see these disgusting ads shoved in between every sentence like they do.
Yes.
It gets old. But yes, it could be a lot worse. There's been much worse. But anyway, yes, there was a ghost bus, sorry, from early 2020 is maybe not the one from the January 6th protests. That could be mixing them up, different pictures of a separate incident. That's why I was trying to scratch this at the last minute. But it was good to see Representative Clay Higgins calling out FBI Director Chris Wray on FBI operatives working inside the crowds. And people are, curious if there was like FBI assets or amongst the crowd. Obviously, they're trying to deny that, and they don't want to talk about it. But they're also suspicious that maybe Antifa were actually being bussed in on these ghost buses, as they call them. And yes, posing as Trump supporters. And they could be informants as well. And I guess Higgins called him out a year ago, saying a year has passed. We sit here again a year later. We, the people, still do not have a definitive answer from you or anyone else in the Biden administration regarding the FBI presence and participation in the months leading up to the November election and in the weeks and days prior to January 6th. And on January 6th here in D.C., we can't get a straight answer, although we have a tremendous amount of evidence harvested and reviewed over the course of the last year. And they tried showing some of this stuff, but like me talking about Israel, the time ran out. He only gets 5 minutes to speak. They shut out stopped the clock. And he had to stop. So we didn't get to hear Ray's response, but he was going to sit there and play stupid and say, well, the FBI doesn't comment on ongoing investigations, blah, blah, blah. Because Higgins called him out, hey, a ghost bus. And Chris Wray said, oh, I'm not sure I've used that term before. And Higgins said, yeah, it's pretty common in law enforcement. It's a vehicle used for secret purposes. 2 buses in the middle. They arrived at Union Station on January 6th. He has evidence. It's tip of the iceberg. There's more buses. Nefarious. They were filled with FBI informants dressed as Trump supporters and deployed into the Capitol. Perhaps the day is coming, but yes, we deserve to have answers on everything that actually happened during that day. And many people were suspicious. Yes, there were all kinds of undercover informants, not just the FBI, that were embedded in the crowd. They were many of the ones that were agitators and got Trump supporters to do dumb things. And they were the ones that are now sitting in a gulag somewhere in D.C. So it's pretty despicable stuff. And yes, I'd like to see these people held to account. And I don't want to see them getting a new headquarters either. They don't deserve one. I want answers from these people. We're trusting them to do the right thing and to be above the law and to, yes, administer justice blindly, go where they need to. But instead, it seems like they protect the deep state and go after their political ally or their enemies.
Do you remember who it was that said you don't deserve a new facility until you clean up your house? You deserve to sit in your rat-infested, your current rat-infested hellhole or something?
No, sounds like something Matt Gaetz would say or something.
Yeah, yeah, maybe it was. I forget who to attribute it to, but yeah, I mean, the alphabet agencies of this country have officially weaponized on we the people. That I don't know how long the United States has been overthrown. But this is, it's beyond absurd to turn all of their efforts inward to attack Americans. And by the way, Speaker Johnson, why has Speaker Johnson still not released the tapes? He's had time. What's he had, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? He's been in for a minute now, right?
Yeah.
The tapes still have not come out.
Or at least to give them to another agency, or maybe, yeah, give them to the Epic Times or something like that. That would be good.
Oh, I did hear that they was giving them to the Blaze, but
I
haven't seen any
Well,
reports yet.
What's Glenn Beck doing? Isn't he have a big staff? He's got billions of dollars, and he can't release something. Give us a little teaser somewhere.
Oh, by the way, another update on a story that was misreported. It was previously reported that, if you're to believe the main source of the Nashville Nutjob Manifesto, Steven Crowder, like, he's in the middle of a bunch of legal stuff, and 7 people from the Nashville Police Department are on administrative leave, or they've been put in different areas, trying to figure out who dared to release the information to figure out why this nut job did what she did. He said he never paid anybody for anything. It was misreported, he said. And he said, I don't, in his words, he goes, I don't know why people said that it was paid, like that I paid to get a couple of snapshots of the Nashville Nutjobs Manifesto. He said, I never paid anybody anything. So maybe he's covering his bases, but it was reported previously.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
And, anyway.
Well, why would they release it to Crowder of all people? That would be kind of strange.
Because he has the Mug Club investigative team. So they're everywhere. Like they're trying to do what O'Keefe is doing. They are making a very specific effort with encrypted phone lines, with proton mail, keeping their sources secure. They are actively trying, and they actually broke a story today about the Bud Light, the Dylan Mulvaney character, and he really is a character. But the story that the Bud Light representative said, "Oh, this is just, I don't know, we made a can for a guy, like, or for this person that claims they're a girl, and we made a can for him. We didn't. That was it. There was nothing to it." Well, turns out that a group paid him, or they paid a group that paid him $180,000 as a beginning. They floated a potential Chinese spy balloon to see how it goes. Oh, we saw how it went. They're going, by the way, a Target. Target, by the way, is in deep trouble, along with Bud Light. But anyway, Crowder broke that because they have people on the inside. They are really aggressively getting people on the inside to report back and expose some of these stories. So they're doing some good investigative journalism work, despite the fact that you're not a fan of him personally. They have been doing some really good things. I don't
think his own employees are big fans of him. Yeah.
Yeah. So, once again, I don't live in the Middle East.
But they got the NDA. They can't do anything. Right?
Seeing what I got. Everybody signs an NDA. Anyway, so yes, Jocelyn, when will the new speaker release the tapes as promised? They said that, I believe they said they were going to give it to the Blaze. But what the hell are they giving it to one outlet for? Give it to all of us. Make it open source. What are we doing here? We're almost 3 years on this thing. There's a lot of suspicion that this was an inside job. And what the hell happened with the Pelosi tapes? With all the Pelosi evidence, they destroyed it. On their unselect committee, they destroyed the evidence. Give me a break. We have got to expose this for the massive setup that it always was, allegedly. So, I don't know. I'm not going to hold my breath on that. But, all right, so the Ghost Bus story might not be as a bombshell as we thought it might have been, Blake. But it could be, but maybe it's not. But we're leaning toward maybe it's not at this particular moment.
Well, it might be from a different incident, and they're probably busing people in during the George Floyd riots in Minneapolis. It was like, well, where did these people come from? They're not even from Minneapolis, and they just all of a sudden appeared. It was like it was all set up. It's just like
all those pedos that were attacking Kyle Rittenhouse had to flee from him to defend his life from these pedos. Where did these guys come from?
At least one of them was, right? Yeah.
No, two of them. At least two of them were. At least two of them.
Yeah, they were all bad news. Yeah. And
bad news. Absolutely. Okay.
After him. Yeah. Okay.
Anything else to add on this? And we'll jump to the next topic, Blake.
No, I'm good. I just want to see the investigation conclude, and I want to see Ray really interrogate. He needs to really stand up and explain. We deserve to know what the involvement was with these big agencies. And they can't be putting these innocent January 6th protesters, and they're still like wrangling all these other people down for this event. But clearly they don't want people to actually know what happened that day, because they themselves have some explaining to do, that they were helping orchestrate this. And yes, a lot of those people at the top of the government, Pelosi, Ray, and Homeland Security, were possibly involved in a bigger setup here. And so they are trying to run out the clock and hide the evidence so they don't have to be held accountable for their actions.
Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
Yep.
You got some splaining to do. Yes. All right. Moving on.
Brian, did you see D'Souza's police state yet?
Nope. No, I have not. Have you?
No, I have not either.
I think we're living in it. I mean,
oh, we are.
We've been there.
You know,
what was that guy in Utah? They waited till 4 a.m. to blow his doors down and just execute that guy because he posted some ramblings of a 400-pound boomer. You could arrest that guy going to get the mail. You could arrest that guy going to Walmart. You didn't have to go execute him. You know, I saw a story that we shared in the Facebook group for the Agree to Disagree show. Join it if you can find it. Facebook doesn't let you see it. But yeah, there was a story of a guy that was in jail for some petty theft or something. A father, he was getting ready to get out. Turns out that he had been bound and raped for 2 or 3 days and killed. And it's like, you know, there's punishment and then there's over-the-top abuse. And the stuff that's going on in the prisons, the stuff that's going on in our judicial system, it's all so out of bounds with reality, with common sense, with decency, with the parameters of cruel and unusual punishment, with the police state going way past our right against illegal search and seizure without some sort of actual reason to do what you're doing. They're just going into Utah and blowing people away in their house. Oh, he was dangerous. You could have arrested him then. Oh, well, that guy, he was in jail because he robbed something. Okay. Did he deserve to be bound and raped for days until he was dead? Who the fuck is watching these people? Where are the guards? Who's running these prisons? Why are people on solitary confinement? Why have they been in jail without trial for simply peacefully walking around the Capitol when you have this going on at the Capitol, well, at the DNC headquarters? Jane says, I said that wrong. Innocent people are going to jail, and then the abuse is staggering. D'Souza shows us point blank in police state. Yeah, I intend to watch it, and one of these days I intend to start bringing guests back on the show and doing what I used to do. I mean, remember we interviewed D'Souza at the RNC in Cleveland, and what movie did he have? Hillary's America, was it called?
He's had several, so it's hard to say. He's done.
Yeah,
there's like one.
There's something about Hillary and Hillary's America, but yeah, I intend to watch the movie. But I feel like we're living it every day, covering the news. But let's cover this topic, Blake. Do you agree or disagree that pro-Palestinian protest at hold on, there's a lot of things going on there. Epstein's guards too. That's different from Epstein-Barr syndrome that you can get from the thing. Allegedly, by the way, for countervailing views, blah, blah, blah. Read the WHO website. Okay, so Blake, agree or disagree that pro-Palestine protest at DNC HQ headquarters was worse than the January 6th event?
I guess I'm going to have to disagree there, or maybe, I don't know. You can agree or disagree. We'll just have to show the tapes. That's the one thing that we don't have. And so then we can figure it out. All of us and Americans, we all deserve to know what really happened. So that would be my short answer for that. So yeah, it's definitely a terrifying event at the DNC. I suppose we should. I'm going to pull up a story about that.
I do. You said you want to see it though. I do have a video of it if you want me to play it real quick.
Yeah, we can do that too.
All right.
Here's police states. I don't know. Is this the D'Souza movie? I'm not sure. Is there something out of the Epic Times here? They have their own video investigative reports. The Capitol Police have evacuated the DNC headquarters after violence at the pro-Palestinian protest, demanding a ceasefire. And the Capitol Police accuse each other of unruly behavior. So Capitol Police, they're calling for an end of violence by using violence. That's kind of odd. But they clashed with violent protesters outside of the headquarters of the DNC in D.C. Authorities restraining activists Wednesday night. Right now, our officers are working to keep back approximately, it's only 150 people who are illegally and violently protesting in the area of Canal Street and Ivy Street unopposed. All members have been evacuated from the area. Our officers are continuing to keep the illegal protesters back. Police suffered injuries during the clash. 6 officers treated, ranging from minor cuts to being pepper sprayed to being punched. One person has been arrested for assault on an officer.
And by the way, while you read that, let me just play this. This is from Citizen Free Press. So posted this quick video here. Insurrection tonight at DNC HQ in DC. You can go ahead and continue reading the story. I'll try to turn the volume down. There we go. I'll turn the volume down. So here's your insurrection at the DNC headquarters. Getting pretty aggressive. Mostly peaceful protest. Mostly peaceful but fiery protest, I'm sure. Right?
Yeah.
That's what they like to say.
Yeah, definitely. Let's pull up another one here. It's pretty much going to be the same thing. It's just out of the Gateway Pundit with a bunch of freaky ads. But yeah, we're going to see kind of the same videos here. So it got a bit out of hand. Yeah,
I wonder if Ford was over there.
You'll have to ask. He's typically, out there for a lot of those major events, and that was certainly newsworthy. But there's a lot of stuff constantly in DC happening at once. Can't be everywhere, but he very well could have been. So, but yes, some minor thing. Maybe pound for pound, it could have been, a bit like J6. Maybe not with all the FBI informants and the Ray Epps and all of the other Antifa agitators that were bussed in. But yeah, it's sad to see when, you're calling for a ceasefire, you're calling for an end to violence, but then you're using violence to get your point across. That's kind of cancels itself out. So kind of dumb in that regard. But
by the way, I just wanted to add this to a previous story. Kyle Becker put out, he was talking about the FCC thing. I just wanted to add this one thing because I pulled up a device to do something else and it happened to be right in front of me. He was talking about the FCC takeover. He said, this is how woke politics rooted in critical race theory is driving a complete takeover of all aspects of American life. Equity and identity politics are being used to subvert the nation's institutions. The first step to a globalist shadow cabal taking over this country is to take over and control our information. Today, we saw the Biden regime take a bold step toward that corrupt end. Alarming. Anyway, I digress, but I did just want to add that point. But okay, so now the DNC is coming under fire because they're not doing enough. What's Jocelyn saying? Pro-Palestinian protesters charged DNC headquarters by the Capitol, pepper spraying and assaulting Capitol Police. One arrest made. Mainstream media is calling it an anti-war protest. It's not a violent insurrection. Interesting. It's interesting what the media says and what they don't. You can always tell what's going on by what people are omitting. Pro-Palestine riot is peaceful, yet the right is portrayed as the violent extremist group. Exactly, Jocelyn. Exactly. And that kind of leads into the next topic that I wanted to discuss. Do you have anything else to add on this one, sir?
Nope.
All right, we'll just roll right into this without the stinger here. But the topic, agree or disagree, Blake, that stories with inconvenient narratives, they deserve to be downplayed.
Not necessarily. I guess it just depends on the publication. So what one outlet considers news, one would rather bury and pretend doesn't exist. So, but it's there's a lot of extreme biases going around, and it's very partisan, and most of it is pretty controlled.
Yeah,
basically
very controlled.
5 or 6 major news outlets that control 95% of the information.
So I just wanted to buzz through a couple of stories and give you quick updates because we want you to get your updates and not just focus on 2 or 3 stories. So now pictures of cocaine found inside the White House have been revealed, by the way. So the photos showing a bag of cocaine found in the White House over the summer were just released. And it's as shocking as it sounds. The situation, which prompted an evacuation in the West Wing. Well, you remember during the Bush years, it was all about anthrax. Ricin was the one, right? Ricin was being mailed to everybody. So any little bags of white powder have to be really well. And fentanyl, you can just touch it and it'll kill you. So, I mean, I guess you did have to evacuate for coke. I don't really care if somebody does some coke. I've never done it. I don't intend on doing it. Blake, you don't have to answer that as if you were being asked. But
wait,
anyway,
what if you were in the White House and Hunter Biden pulled you aside and said, "Hey, you want to come out and hang out?" Then he would had like just lines set up. Would you do coke with Hunter Biden?
Question: would he be wearing tighty whities with that scarf around his neck and the glasses, like he was? Just take those old records off the shelf, like that Tom Cruise, Risky Business.
Right.
He just slides across. Yeah. So if Hunter Biden slid across the Risky Business song, that would be hilarious. God, I want someone to animate that for me. Please, someone animate that for me. We need our TNAM meme team to create that. No, I wouldn't. Because Hunter would probably try to bang me. I mean, he's such a deviant. No, I don't need him.
Look like a Russian hooker, Brian. Really. But okay, I don't know.
Well, okay. So the situation which prompted an evacuation. Wow, that was a great tangent right there and a weird visual. The situation which prompted an evacuation of the West Wing happened when Joe Biden, the resident, and his family, including his son Hunter Biden, were spending the weekend away at Camp David ahead of the 4th of July holiday. That is the same day that the cocaine was discovered. As we reported, an investigation was launched, and the Secret Service took images of the bag containing the white powder, which was found in a cubby hole near the executive entrance that is usually used for personal belongings. Those images are now being released. Okay, well, how far do I have to scroll to see the image here? After the cocaine was discovered, the West Wing was evacuated. Streets were shut down that surrounded the White House. They shut down the streets for a little bag of coke. Documents state that the deputy director of the FBI was involved in the 11-day investigation. Investigators were able to get the suspect list down to 500 individuals, Blake. Jesus. Wow. I'm so glad we got it down to 500 people instead of just one Hunter Biden. But security footage wasn't able to determine the owner of the drug. Bullshit. The Secret Service ended up closing the investigation due to lack of evidence. No usable fingerprints were lifted from the tiny Ziploc bag. Actually, that's not true. They do have DNA on it, is what the story is saying. But anyway, despite the lack of evidence, the public is convinced the cocaine belonged to Hunter. He had a history with drugs, filmed himself smoking crack, driving a car at 172 miles an hour, supposedly heading to Vegas. Now, by the way, I may or may not have had a rental car at one point and got involved in a caravan heading from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. And when I looked down, I was shocked to see what the 3 digits said as I was in a motorcade of people flying through the desert to get out there. The new cars, you just drive and you don't realize how fast you're going. I don't think I hit 100.
Say that wasn't your old Blazer. Rattled off the axles.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, that would be like in any of those movies where it's like, keep going just a little more. And like you're holding on for dear life and you're shaking and bouncing out of your seat, whether it's like out of Star Wars or Back to the Future. Yeah, that's what the Blazer would have been. I love that Blazer, though. I'm just saying.
Oh, I know. You had an unhealthy relationship with that Blazer. But, it served a purpose.
It was a very healthy relationship. I don't want to live in a disposable world, Blake. I want to have the things, and I want to take care of sex. And I want those things to last. So anyway, are they showing the pictures here? I had to click a second link to show the photos, and it's taking too long to load. Here, I just keep trying to load it. Load. No. Okay, well, imagine a bag of crack. A bag of coke. Anyway, I can't show you the pictures because the article about the pictures doesn't have the article. Screw you, Yahoo News. That's why you're failing. Anyway. Any quick thoughts on the Hunter, the latest, the Freedom of Information request that has brought this out there to the world to see?
I think it's hilarious that he's so audacious that he just, he casually goes into the White House, has got his bag of coke, and he's about to order some hookers and just ready for the festivities to end so he can have his fun. And then the Secret Service is just going to cover it up and pretend like they don't know, even though it's pretty obvious to the rest of us. I'm not saying there needs to be criminal charges, but we all know who did it. And
they did show him. Was that at the 4th of July? He was out on the balcony.
Yeah, he was out the 4th of July doing
coked out of his mind.
Yeah.
Jill's looking at him.
He was like doing bumps like in the background. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like near grandkids and little kids. And number one, you never let any kid around Joe Biden ever, who allegedly showers with his daughter in inappropriate ways and raise this deviant. God knows what happened to that household. They can't raise kids right. They can't keep their hands off of kids, and they can't train their dog to stop biting the Secret Service. So yeah, that whole family is an absolute train wreck. Wanted to give you an update on this story as well and get your thoughts, because the story has developed since we did cover it a couple of days ago. Blake, agree or disagree that the 8 arrested high school kids that killed a Vegas student in a mob attack deserve leniency? But that's the update here, and I'll pull up an article. 8 have been arrested. They're looking for 2 more. Any thoughts on this as the story is developing?
Well, I think they're all probably going to have to spend the rest of their high school days in juvenile hall, and then or juvie, and then they need to all be psychologically evaluated. Talk to the teachers, talk to the parents, figure out what's making these guys tick, and the good ones that can be rehabilitated should be, and the ones that are irredeemable or are just sociopathic are going to have to prepare to stay in jail for the rest of their lives, potentially. So it's a pretty horrific thing, but I think some of that it's mob mentality. And they got caught up in it, and they're going to have to, hopefully they're all going to feel guilty, but the ones that don't are criminals and will have to just stay locked up, or maybe they can be executed because they're not even worth, feeding and sheltering. But that's kind of what I think. So I just want to, determine on a one-by-one level, individuals, case by case, to determine whether they are fixable or not.
All right, 2 quick points. Number 1, remind me to never go to usatoday.com again, because when I click the X takes me to another page. If any place that's going to pretend that an X to close out the crap on my screen, anyone that's going to disguise it as another way to click on a second link, you're dead to me. I don't ever want to be on your site again. Never. Stop designing this shit. I don't forget. I will never go to USA Today again if I can remember it. Anyway,
Brian,
I tried to close
it. Brian, quickly before I forget, and since you're on that page, look at the very, very top, the headline, which I was which I thought was worthy of the headline story. Even USA Today is saying, here's kind of the headline. Once you're done with this old news article, you can talk about the major.
This is brand new news, Blake. These people have finally been arrested. It's taken way too long.
News, right?
And by the way, Dreamer, I missed this comment. The second thing, Dreamer, we were talking about the cocaine at the White House update, and he says he's visualizing the scene where they evacuated the pool because of the Baby Ruth. Anyway, that was kind of hilarious to me. So anyway, 8 teenagers have been arrested on murder charges after they killed a 17-year-old. Jonathan Lewis was pummeled by a mob of his classmates in an alley outside of their school. And 8 suspects charged murder are between 13 and 17, said Las Metro Police. They're okay, and there you go. They're beginning the process to charge them as adults. Good. Lock them up, throw away the key. Blake is much more lenient than I am there. But adding that there's no evidence indicating the attack was a hate crime. Either every crime against somebody of a different race is a hate crime, or none of them are. I can't have this back and forth. If there's no consistency, there is no hate crime. These were 15 black kids. I think it was 15 black kids. 10 of the, whatever the exact number is, pummeling and killing a white kid, that is a hate crime because they're kids of different races. I don't understand this hate crime. If you commit a crime and murder somebody, it's obviously hateful. Anyway,
was it from Rancho High School? Okay.
Say it again.
Well, it's different. If it's like they actually targeted him because of his skin color, that would be a hate crime.
How can that ever be determined?
That's the case.
Yeah. Well, okay, maybe like the Nashville nut job who wanted to kill crackers, I suppose. So a couple of days ago, Rancho High School, the students, including Jonathan, they met in an alley across from the street from the campus to fight over stolen wireless headphones and possibly a stolen marijuana vape pen. Police believe the items were stolen from Jonathan's friend, but once they were all in the alley, it was Jonathan who fought instead. As soon as the first punch was thrown, 10 people swarmed him, pulled him to the ground, and began kicking and punching and stomping him until death. After the fight, a passerby found the teenager in the alley and carried him to the school, where staff performed CPR. First responders rushed him to the University Medical Center of Southern Nevada, where it was determined that he had suffered non-survivable head trauma. They splattered his head into death. You know, lock these kids away. This is why you don't involve yourself in these situations. Police are now searching for 2 more suspects. So the reason it's also timely is because we need to find these 2 people. Videos of the incident called extremely disturbing and void of humanity. And the father has been giving some interviews now to speed this process along. He says there's other videos out there, and I think these other videos are worse. I'm getting really tired of scrolling social media for snuff films. I don't know that I have it in my humanity to keep exposing myself to this shit, but it is what it is. So videos that circulated on social media were used by investigators to identify 8 of 10. The police and FBI coordinated arrests of the 8 students, search warrants at 9 homes, and said clothing worn by the teenagers was recovered and cell phones were recovered. So Vegas police, they will be releasing photos of the remaining suspects. So go check out only to see the photographs of the suspects and track them down, throw them in a cage so that they can't kill another person, okay? And if anyone has additional footage, please get it to the Las Vegas PD. If you're a mentor with youth, if you're a parent, you have to assume that your kids have seen this video. Don't put your head in the sand. Talk to your kids about it, blah, blah, blah. So that's the newsworthy moment of this. This isn't front page news. This isn't coast to coast. This isn't riots in the streets over 15 people of one race jumping somebody of another race and beating them to death over nothing, over headphones, over something that they stole from the kids that said, hey, give us our shit back. So throw these kids in jail, lock them up, throw away the key, and get these other 2 that are still on the lam to justice.
So, but what if it was 10 kids and one of them was like 13? They're saying they're 15. Between like 13 and 17. No, it said between 13 and 17. So
no. There were 15 kids. They've arrested 8. They're looking for 2 more, but there were 5 more. I don't know what their situation is. What was your question though?
Okay, so let's say it's 15 kids. So one of them, they said they're ranging from the ages of 13 to 17. So what if one of them was like a 13-year-old and he just happened to be there and kind of participated in the mob mentality, but really wasn't thinking of the consequences of his actions, didn't do too much of the damage? Do you think that they should be thrown in jail for the rest of their life because they went along with this attack from the other kids?
I'm excited to find what is the, how did you phrase it? Sort of participated. How did you frame that?
Yeah, loosely they were there. I mean,
okay, if they were there now in a crime where someone's killed, if you rob a bank and you're driving the getaway car
a couple times, what are they going to do? But did they do the fatal shots? Did they? But if they were just a participant, if they were in there and they went along with the mob and the gang.
Does this mean a grandmother walking through the Capitol taking pictures and not harming a person? Or is this somebody with a flagpole jamming it into the eyes of a police officer during a January 6th riot? Was this somebody who actually swung kicks at somebody unconscious on the ground? Yes, you throw them away. If there's a bank robbery, the person who's driving the getaway car, they get the same penalty as the person inside that fired the shots. You're an accomplice. You're
like
as guilty as the other people.
Bank robbers that coordinated on an attack and they know better. They know the consequences of their action. They have a getaway driver for a reason. Right. Yeah, that is an accomplice. That is somebody who has to go serve just as much time as the people that robbed the bank or whatever. Right.
So if there was somebody now they have 8 in custody. They're being charged with murder. They're trying to escalate it up because this was a 17-year-old that was kid. So I'm assuming some of these kids were 16, 17, 18, 19.
Yeah, no, it's 17. It said 13 to 17. They're all high school kids. None of them were actually adults. That doesn't mean they don't deserve to be tried as adults. That doesn't mean
so they will be tried as adults. If there was somebody that was around the hornet's nest and they didn't actually kick and they didn't actually swing a bat or throw a punch and break a rib or hit him in the head when he's already concussed. If they were just there, I mean, that's got to be hellish. If they didn't throw a rock, if they didn't swing their foot, if they didn't make contact with the person, yeah, I couldn't imagine the same lock them up and throw away the key mentality as the people that were continuing to pummel an already unconscious and bloody human being like a sack of potatoes. Yeah, if they swung their foot, deuces. I don't want you growing up as a madman like you are currently. Stay there so you don't do it to anybody else. If the mentality to actually pummel an unconscious kid, no, that's a monster, dude. I have no leniency for them. But if there's 5 people out of the 15 that were identified, 8 arrested, looking for 2, that leaves 5. Maybe 5 were just around and they didn't actually swing or kick. If that's the case, these people need to be punished as accomplices, but not to the same degree. Maybe those people could get out of juvie in 20 years or 5 years or 10 years. They definitely have to think about the actions of participating in that mob mentality. But if it's a grandmother who's peacefully walking through J6, taking some pictures and goes home and doesn't do anything, that's very different. That it's on the same lines. You're around chaos, but you're not participating in chaos. So I will make a distinction for that. But if someone's sort of participating in throwing kicks on a dead guy, yeah, you did it. Well, which one was the final blow? Well, they all were. They all were, because you all ganged up on him and you all caused that to happen. So that's my quick thought on that one. Another quick highlight for a story that was breaking on our Tuesday show. Matt Pengrave, say his name, Matt Pengrave. And it's kind of eerie that the word grave is in his name. This is the hockey player that raised his leg in a Bruce Lee kick maneuver after throwing a shoulder into somebody else, raised his large slicing device, his skate, and sliced the throat and murdered a player.
One of us froze, Brian. I don't know if it's me or you. There we go.
That says connection lost.
Okay, there you're back.
Well, maybe they're trying to shut me down, because if you look for this story online, they're just saying a person was arrested. Oh, what person? The only an inconvenient story with an inconvenient narrative. This hockey player is black. I don't care that he's black. I care that he raised his leg and sliced the throat and murdered a player you've never seen a play like that in hockey. People
you think he intentionally tried to murder him?
Oh, manslaughter at least. His reckless actions caused it. That is not a hockey play. There's no scenario where you raise your leg above your shoulders to get to the level of another player. No, it's manslaughter at the very least. But the media is going out of their way to protect this guy, to defend him, to not mention him by name. His name is Matt Pengrave. Say his name, Matt Pengrave. Why is he receiving special treatment? Maybe because he's one of only a couple of black people that play hockey. I don't know. I'm not outraged about this story because of the color of his skin at all. I didn't even know when I was watching the video what I was looking at. I just saw Bruce Lee kick that severed the guy's throat, damn near took his head clean off his body. But this is something I had no idea happened, and I just wanted to show you the disgusting levels of just cognitive dissonance that's happening. This is from where's this at? This is the moment that hockey player Matt Pengrave is giving a standing ovation by his team's fans after he slashed the throat of murdered Adam Johnson and killed him. As the match began, a photo of Pengrave, who was not present. By the way, they arrested him, but they allowed him out on bail. You have nonviolent January 6 people who are still rotting away in gulags in D.C. Nonviolent. Different from violent. Nonviolent people still from that protest, still in jail. They weren't able to make bail, but they took this murderer and let him bail out for some reason. Anyway, he's not present, but he bailed out apparently. They put his picture on the screen, and it prompted this from these disgusting fans. I just want to play this. There he is. Picture at the top there. Listen to this disgusting applause. Blake, any thoughts on that?
I need more context. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know if they just did all of the individual players. I don't know if that's before the game, after the game. I don't know when that was. So I can't comment on that because I don't think they're cheering the death of this other man or that's, yeah, they killed him. Yeah, good job, Matt. I don't think they would show his name after the fact and that's a standing ovation directly because of that. No. So I think that's, and I don't know where you found that. It only had a few views. It didn't really have like 500 some views, which is,
I find the good shit, Blake. That's why the new American media is interesting. I find the good shit.
Yeah, but that's also, not, we don't know the context.
Okay, so no, that's a fair point.
A year ago. It could have been from a year ago. Yeah, of course they're going to they're going to cheer for all their players. Yeah, that's normal. But that doesn't mean it was immediately after. That wasn't like there's blood on the ice and they carried the other guy off and yeah, Matthew Pengrave. Yeah, no, I don't know.
No, this is my understanding.
Yeah.
My understanding is that this was yesterday, the day before. It was very recent. Okay. It was after the murder. It was after he was arrested or right around the time he was arrested and they were cheering him. This is very recent. Now, maybe it's not. I'll double check that.
Yeah, if that's the case, obviously that's awful. Yeah, I can't even believe that people would do that. But I don't want to get outraged until I know that that's actually what happened.
Well, it's been reported by a lot of different places that that's exactly how it was. There's a chance it's not, but that's my understanding that they were cheering the murderer. I would never cheer a murderer for my Cleveland Browns or Cavaliers or Ohio State Buckeyes. If there was somebody that, and by the way, one final point, Draymond Green just put another player in a headlock and got suspended for 5 games. Draymond Green has been recklessly kicking, punching, throwing, launching players, hurting players for a long time. That Matt Pengrave, say his name, Matt Pengrave, the hockey killer, that guy has a rap sheet a mile long. He is widely known as one of the dirtiest players in that hockey league. My thought and my commentary is that had the hockey officials properly punished this guy and suspended him indefinitely for being so reckless and so violent, maybe he would have taken pause and not been so reckless moving forward. Draymond Green has a rap sheet a mile long. Why has he not been suspended indefinitely? Why is he still being allowed to be out there? We could blow somebody's knee out. You could choke somebody unconscious and they could have a brain aneurysm. This guy is a madman and he's on the same level. Draymond Green, Matt Pengrave. These are 2 players who are reckless and violent, participating in plays that are not basketball plays and not hockey plays. They're just violent plays that could potentially injure other people. So I'm calling on the NBA to indefinitely suspend him. And I'm calling on the NHL and the other sports leagues to start suspending the known violent players because it's bullshit. And it escalates if you let them keep getting away with it. So
do you think 7 games is enough, Brian? 7? I think that was the official, right? 7 game suspension? Or is it 5? Okay.
They gave him 5. He should be out for a full month minimum. This is not the first time he's done it. He punched LeBron James in the nuts in game 6 of the game 5, whatever, game 5. And then he was suspended for game 6, came back for game 7, punched him in the nuts. He's been kicking players in the nuts, punching them in the nuts his whole career. The guy's a madman out there. And the NBA needs to take it seriously because when you don't punish Matt Pengrave, you have situations like this where they get increasingly violent, increasingly reckless, and you got this nice guy that just got butchered on the ice. Damn near took his head clean off of his body. So anyway, that was something that I had no idea existed when we did the Tuesday show. Also, to put a bow on this story, this was something that we covered a couple of weeks ago.
It's Petgrave, not Pengrave. Sorry.
Am I saying? I meant to say Petgrave. Matt Petgrave. I was probably thinking Matt Penfield.
No worries.
I don't know if that's Penfield or Petgrave. Sorry, thank you. So it's a Petgrave. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is an update on this story. One of the weirdest stories we've ever seen. David DePape found guilty in a violent hammer attack on Paul Pelosi. I don't know. This just kind of popped for me. Washington, a jury convicted David DePape, bludgeoned former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband of federal assault and attempted kidnapping charges today. DePape broke into the former speaker's home last year and attacked the 83-year-old husband of Nancy Pelosi, Paul Pelosi, in search of her. The attack was caught on police body camera footage and reignited a debate on political violence in the U.S. DePape was found to be an avid supporter of far-right conspiracy. Oh, shut up. Nancy Pelosi was not at her home at the time. Jury deliberated for over 8 hours and gave a verdict. He's facing 50 years in federal prison. Blake, any thoughts on that developing story that bookends something that was ridiculous that we've covered in the past?
No, that dude's pretty dangerous. He's bad news. That was horrifying. I have no love for the Pelosi's, but that was horrific to see that. And I feel bad because I didn't report that right. I thought it was just a break-in, or maybe that was a drug dealer gone wrong, or a lover's tryst, or what have you. But it's because they didn't release the footage. And then finally, once they did, it became apparent. Like, yeah, that dude, he broke in the house with a hammer, and poor Paul was just trying to keep things calm. And then when the police knocked on the door, you had that, DePape hit him over the head with a hammer. It was awful. So I wouldn't wish that on him, even though he's an insider trader and corrupt, and Nancy Pelosi is a criminal. But he didn't deserve to be whacked in the head with a hammer by this guy. And he needs to be behind bars because he's dangerous.
Yeah, and there was a lot of suspicion and banter at the time, just wondering, do these guys know each other? He kind of shows up, he's in his underwear, and it was just such a weird scene when the door opened, and why would you wait until that moment that the cops are there? Oh, now I'll swing the hammer. It seemed staged and weird, and that we weren't getting the real story. Something still is really weird about that. The whole situation is weird, but anyway, he's been found guilty, and I did make that correction there to spell his last name Petgrave, because it's Matt Pengrave. Say his name. 60% of the media outlets are saying a person was arrested. Oh. Matt Pengrave was arrested, and I said his name wrong. So anyway, thank you for helping me correct that, because I could say Matt Pengrave a couple more times, that asshole. Okay, moving on to other assholes.
Breaking news.
Okay.
Breaking news from another asshole too. Good call. This is from Ford Fair, who is reporting here that John Sullivan, Jaden X, who was posing as a Trump supporter on January 6th, who was near Ashley Babbitt that day, and who was affiliated with Antifa in Utah. So he was, and he also was with CNN, and he got paid a bunch of money for his footage. He's a Trump supporter on January 6th.
Oh, by the way, did he have to give that money back? Wasn't there part of a criminal something where maybe he had to pay it back? But what's
not
breaking here?
There, but yes. Anyway, he was posing as a Trump supporter. Later claimed he was there as press, despite yelling to the crowd to burn the Capitol down. He was instigating. He was yelling violently in that hall, in that stairwell, to rev up everybody's tension. Everybody's. He was there. And here's the thing, Blake, about those 5 people that haven't been charged in Vegas. Well, maybe they didn't throw a punch. Maybe they didn't swing. Well, what were they screaming? Were they contributing to the feeding frenzy of the piranhas that were killing that poor kid? Because this asshole from CNN, he was the one that was yelling and screaming and ratcheting up everybody's tension to the point that cop decided to pull a trigger. The only shot fired on January 6th, by the way, was that scared cop that killed a woman of a different race who was a veteran mother. Yes, that guy is criminally complicit for helping pump up the hysteria. Well, he didn't pull the trigger. He didn't shoot her. Okay, well, he kind of did with his actions. He's culpable in some sort of way. So what's the update here? What happened? Okay, well, he's been found guilty on all charges and remanded straight to jail until sentencing. So Judge Lamberth ordered John Earl Sullivan remanded, which means he'll be held in custody while he awaits sentencing. So that is pretty big news. So Ray Epps has kind of gotten off the hook. We were kind of wondering if Jaden X, John Sullivan, was being protected as well, but it doesn't look like it. So they're going to flush him down. And he goes to jail. And out of all the people that were, rotting in the gulag, he's probably one that actually deserves to be there. And he was, I believe, encouraging Ashley Babbitt to go into that hole and go into the Capitol.
And I'm glad that story popped now, because it really reminds me of why I'm also adamant for the the non-violent bystanders who 15 of them mobbed up and killed that kid in Vegas, because their actions, what were they screaming? Were they pushing their friends? Were they egging them on? Like, they all contributed to throwing the chum in the water that led to the shark attack and that disemboweled that surfer. You know, like they participated in that. So that is the perfect way to link those two stories together. I appreciate that, Blake. Yeah, look at the early 80s and 90s Pistons, Draymond Fitz. Well, and not just that, the Malice in the Palace, where Ron Artest climbed up into the stands. I guarantee you Draymond will cause another Malice in the Palace if they don't hammer this guy and suspend him indefinitely. Jocelyn said the English crowd observed a respectful minute of silence in memory of Adam Johnson and applauded Matt Petgrave to show their support of, but that's support of Petgrave. All right. If there's additional context, I'll walk back my vomitous reaction to applauding that monster, that killer, Matt Petgrave.
Well, he's an involuntary manslaughterer, and he needs to be. Yeah, he needs to go to jail indefinitely. I don't know. He's a dangerous dude. His hockey career is over, and we'll have to determine what to do with him. But he's going to be serving some hard time for a long time. That terrible stunt. They're going to have to make an example of him, and then now all these hockey leagues are going to have to adopt throat guards because of him, because of one asshole. So
yeah, you got to take your shoes off because of one guy. One idiot makes everybody take their shoes off on an airplane. Yep. He doesn't have anything on our test. Draymond is somewhat likable. I'm going to disagree with you there. I don't like the guy at all. Yeah, he looks like Shrek, and he's got that big toothy grin. And he is kind of clownish, sure. No, I actually like Meta World. He changed his name to Meta World Peace. Ron Artest did, by the way. He at least tried to better his life just a bit. Yeah, MSM called the murder an accident. Yeah, and see that's my other problem with Matt Petgrave, Blake. If the context of that video, now maybe it was showing the slain player first, and they were already in mid applause. But why would they cut from the innocent dead guy to the killer? And why would people continue applauding? Because if they're applauding their guy who killed that guy, how are they going to convict him in a court? If they're rallying to defend this guy?
12-second clip. I don't know. Again, out of context. Need more info.
I will check it out additionally, but it's been reported that they put his picture up and they're supporting him and cheering him on. We'll see. Maybe there's more to it. I'll give you that. Okay, Blake. Agree or disagree that Hamas militants are hiding in hospitals and deserve bombings?
It probably agree to some extent. There probably are a few, but to say that all of it is totally wrong. And they got exposed, and it looks like this new narrative is falling apart. So let's check this out. I know Brian has been trying to.
Just play the story, Blake.
You have want to talk about it.
Don't talk about Brian. Talk about the story, please.
Okay. All right. So here we go. Israel has never provided convincing proof that Hamas militants.
Hold on. Let me double click it. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Israel has never provided convincing proof that Hamas militants are hiding in Gaza hospitals. Is Israel lying as an excuse to indiscriminately bomb the innocent? This is one of the questions.
That's the accusation from the health ranger, that they're intentionally bombing innocent people, not the ones that butchered 1,500.
Okay, well, let's go to the Daily Mail then. Let's switch it up. We don't have to cover that. We can go to the headlines.
No. I mean, go ahead. But like, I'm expected to believe that Israel is so demonic. The Jews are so terrible. They just want to kill innocent people.
Oh, look at how you have to jump to that. Oh, that the Jews are all terrible. Like you make a blanket statement. Okay, yeah, whatever. How about they're guilty of war crimes sometimes, Brian? How about they sometimes do the wrong thing?
All war is a crime, isn't it?
Oh, so it's all wars. But it's this Zionist cultist mentality that they can never admit just 1% of the time that they might be wrong. And Brian falls right into that trap, and it's weird. I don't understand it, but we have to cover it because this should be, as far as I'm concerned, this is the headline story. And now you've got Daily Mail. Israeli troops show what they claim is concrete evidence that Hamas was using Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital as a terrorist base, but admit they have not yet found tunnels or an advanced command center, because this was the big thing. Oh, they blew up another hospital, but oh, don't worry, it was a Hamas terrorist base. It was a headquarters, and they were stashing all kinds of weapons and soldiers in there, so it's okay. So they've claimed to found the concrete evidence in Gaza's biggest hospital. That was they blew up the biggest hospital in Gaza. It's multiple hospitals, but this is now the biggest one. And then they said after they did it, it was a terrorist.
Getting a little choppy. I think we have him back.
I think your internet is actually a little choppy, and looks like on mine.
I have all the full bars, but you're back now. Yeah, mine didn't give me an error message.
I'm not sure which one. I think if you get the message, it's yours, but it's all good. So the IDF, they revealed evidence of weaponry, which it said proved the hospital was a terrorist base, but all they really did was show a duffel bag hidden behind a hospital MRI machine containing an AK-47, grenades, ammunition, and a uniform. Behind another machine, they said weapons were said to have been found in an adjoining room. Here's the, here's some of the pictures that they are showing. And this is a part of our thumbnail for today's show. Yes, this little stash of stuff on the rug there. But these could have been very easily planted there. Doctors said they were given 30 minutes notice of an Israeli
hold on real quick, just so I understand.
Yeah.
So photographic evidence is shown, and your reaction is, oh, there's a photo provided. The Jews faked it.
Yes, I'm saying that. Yes,
because when you're shown proof, you always side against the Jews.
No, against the Jews? No.
Yes,
and stop saying that, Brian. It's not. I am not against the Jews. I condemn anti-Semitism. I condemn Hamas, and I condemn Nazis. But I do not. I am very suspicious of some of the Zionists in Israel who bomb these innocent Palestinians.
That's what I was trying to ask in the story. It said,
no, you're spinning it.
No,
you always say pro-Hamas instead of pro-Palestine.
Hang on a second.
No, you say that neocon talking points.
Blake, stop.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was.
Okay, go ahead.
When our call got choppy, what I was trying to ask was, okay, so who said that they had proof? Israel? Who in Israel is claiming to have proof? Because my question was, who is providing the visual evidence that you are now saying you don't believe it? Now you saw pictures and you're saying pictures aren't good enough. I don't believe it. I don't know what it would take for you to believe a story that defends Israel, the Jews, the Zionists, whatever you want to call it. What proof would be proofy enough for you to actually believe?
Well, they claim that they blew up a hospital, Brian, and then they claim that it was like the headquarters of a whole big tunnel network, and that it was, full of Hamas militants and full of weapons. Well, if that's true, how come they just have a few little stashes there? They're little pictures. They did not show the video. So it seems like they blew up the hospital, didn't have the evidence that they wanted, and then planted some and said, here's some pictures. And here's one of the ones that people are calling out. Why are these boxes are supposedly medical supplies, and why are they written in English? So something stinks about this entire thing, and people are calling this out. And the Zionist propaganda is kind of reaching a point where people are questioning this. People are sick of, this looks like a genocide, and they're not always justified. So let's take a look at this from some tweets out from Glenn Greenwald saying, comparing Israel's claims about Hamas use of Shifa Hospital with what the very sparse evidence produced by Israel shows. There is, let us say, a very large gap between these things. So here's a tweet here. The IDF released the first photos from the hospital after last night's raid. I count 10 guns. The IDF claim that the beating heart of Hamas operations is beneath the Shifa hospital. Presumably, they'll release more photos and videos. So,
is there any video or photo that would convince you? Because I thought it was public knowledge that they're in the tunnel network. and that they hide in hospitals and schools because they think nobody can get them there. It's punching a kid and running behind the teacher at recess.
It probably could be, Brian. I'm willing. You know what? I'm willing to say, yeah. Let's just say 50% of them are. Let's say 50% of the hospitals and schools that Israel has blown up maybe had some Hamas terrorists and guns. I'll give you that. Sure, why not?
Well, it's not giving me it. I thought it was common
knowledge.
Admit?
No, Brian. Can you admit that maybe Israel maybe staged one of these things, that maybe there wasn't a Hamas network in there, that maybe there wasn't weapons, maybe it wasn't human shields, and they actually just committed a war crime and they're covering it up and they want you to believe
that they committed a war.
Are you willing to admit that?
That they committed? So I fully understand that they committed a war crime because they're bloodthirsty, because they want to kill the innocent people and not the guilty people. For what purpose are you claiming this? For what purpose would they do that? Where's the upside here?
Well, they know they blow up hospitals and schools, and then they always say, "Oh, it was Hamas. There was a Hamas," or they blew up that refugee camp because they supposedly had one Hamas leader there. You don't think that's a war crime? Or the church? I mean, they have killed thousands of innocent people. You don't think that there is maybe one potential where they oopsie, or do you think that they're justified for all of the actions that they take? Have they blown up a hospital, Brian, that maybe didn't have some Hamas people and that was just full of innocent people that needed medical attention and they're dead now? And that there wasn't guns or tunnels somewhere?
Yeah, but what would the motivation be? Because they're just bombing anything around?
Yeah, there is. There's some indiscriminate bombing. You can't control all the bombing.
Is it because they have information that's bad information? Is it because they had it and moved it? Is it because they're bloodthirsty and they only want to target civilians? Like what is the motivation between hitting things that may or may not have a terrorist link, a terrorist tunnel, a terrorist cache of weapons, a terrorist gathering? What motivation?
Because they are indiscriminately bombing the shit out of their opposition.
All right, so it's mainly just indiscriminate, just that. Okay,
no, you're basically saying that they can do no wrong.
I didn't say that
every single time that anyone innocent dies, it's because they were a human shield, or because there was a Hamas base, or there was something, or maybe it's okay because they voted for Hamas. It's always a twist.
Well, Hamas was elected.
And the Zionists can never admit just 1% of the time that they're wrong. So it's just a cult-like mentality. So we'll continue. Even the IDF, in words and deeds, are acknowledging they haven't found much evidence to support their claims about Hamas' elaborate operations at this hospital. But they're saying, give us more time, which is what they have to say. Because the IDF, they released this, they've pulled a number of tweets of these hospital bombings or what have you. No cuts, no edits, just undeniable truth. And they're trying to expose the Hamas weapons that they have found in the Shifa Hospital's MRI building. But then, of course, they deleted the post. How about that? Remember when the U.S. government and media got caught lying about Saddam's WMDs? So they tried falsely claiming that he hid them in Syria. Israel is now saying they didn't find much evidence of Hamas in the hospital because, Hamas took it all away again. Or we can go back to the health ranger. This is my reaction. The boxes are empty. It's comically bad propaganda from the IDF, chucking around clearly empty cardboard boxes with medical supplies written in huge letters in English on them. This is an official IDF video. This stuff right here is staged for America. Only America believes this bullshit. The rest of the world.
Wait, pause. How do you jump to that? Hold on. Okay, hold on.
Why is there medical supplies written in English on these? And you can see when the boxes that they're empty.
I mean, I've been hearing about this for 20, 30 years. The flotilla, wasn't that the thing 20, 30 years ago? It's all about getting boxes of supplies. It's all donated from other countries. They don't have anything. It's an open air prison, right? I mean, there's boxes. There could be light syringes. And how the fuck do I know? How do you know? How are you so convinced that a box that isn't too heavy, that could be written in, of course it's written in English. Fucking half the country, half the world speaks it and writes it. 20%, 30%, I don't know what percentage. How do you know that that's obvious propaganda? I don't know anything.
Look at these
what I
perfect little
take
boxes.
issue with is you claiming to know that you know it's propaganda. How the fuck do you know? How does the health ranger know? Now, maybe it is, but how are you so damn convinced? What about this video proves that Bibi is setting them up and it's all a scam? But just what in this video proves there's no medical supplies there because it's written in English? Of course they could have got donations from English-speaking countries. Half the world is up in arms hating Israel right now. 100% of the world, according to some people. I just don't get what smoking gun we're looking at. There's boxes and it's written in English. And I mean,
and they're empty. The way that they're moving these boxes around shows that there's like no weight to them. So
you know how much
just
syringes
white label these boxes.
Syringes weigh nothing. Those are medical supplies.
Okay.
I mean, I was married to a nurse for a decade and a half.
They'll blow up the flotilla and they'll say there's weapons on them. It's always it's never
always
Israel can never do wrong. That's right. Fascinating. Brian, I don't know why you get so animated about this, always defending the Zionist propaganda.
Well, I'm just asking, what about this?
Can you admit that they maybe would do 1%? Can you think that maybe it's not? Maybe it's staged?
Sure. Everything in war is staged. Nobody knows what's happening.
Oh, you're gonna make excuses again, right?
I'm making excuses. But what? I just don't get what about that video proves. I don't get the proof of that video. Like I've had boxes of syringes in my medical supplies. There's a lot of gauze and shit that doesn't weigh anything.
Right. Yeah. Look at these. How light these boxes are. Why are they showing this? And they're clearly white labeled with medical supplies. And why is it written in English if this is in Gaza and Israel? So there's something. This is looks like it's obviously staged to make it look like, oh, they're the good guys.
That's a lot of implied assumptions. I don't see a smoking gun here, but let's move on to
let's talk about what the reality of outside of America, how Netanyahu is even looked at. This is Haaretz, which is out of Tel Aviv. It's the oldest news publication in Israel covering the Middle East, saying less than 4% of Jewish Israelis report that they trust Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as the most reliable source of information on the war against Hamas, according to their news surveys. We've got other surveys. U.S. public support for Israel plummets to just 32%. Majority back a ceasefire.
All right, well, let's go to that. Gaza requires a ceasefire until October 7th. Or until the October 7th investigation is complete.
Yeah, absolutely. So somebody like Bibi obviously does not want a ceasefire. He wants to keep the pressure up. He wants to shoot first, ask questions later. He doesn't want any questions. He just wants you to blindly go along with whatever he wants to do, which is basically to carpet bomb, turn Gaza into a parking lot, and rebuild it, and kick all the Palestinians out. So, and he's not popular over there, and people don't trust him. They think he's a corrupt warmonger. And they have questions about his party and all of his motives. And people are questioning, why did the defenses get that day? Why was all of a sudden just, the Hamas just hates Israel so much they just decided to make this horrible spontaneous attack one day?
Wait, hold on. You don't believe that Hamas hates Israel that much? You don't?
I know they hate Israel. Sure, of course, that's in their charter.
Why did you say that? Like, I'm so like anyone would believe that? Of course they do.
So they just all of a sudden all the defenses drop and they just invade and they just wanted to go blow up some stuff, but they haven't given out a motive or anything yet. To my knowledge,
motive is in their charter. They want every one of them
in their charter, Brian. So why pick October 7th? Just all of a sudden, hey, you know what? Let's just go over to Israel and just blow the shit out of them and capture hostages.
I don't get how that's proof either. Pearl Harbor, every single attack has a date attached to it.
Yeah, and they knew it was gonna. They knew a lot of those things were coming. So we could argue that, of course, with. No,
I'm just saying, like you accuse me of having an excuse for everything, but you have innuendo for everything. I just and maybe it's true, but I don't really see how there's any smoking gun to any of this shit. It's been turmoil in the Middle East since we've been born. It's the same story regurgitated every decade. I don't know. I just don't see it.
Do you ever see how you are always 100% pro-Israel without any question, and how that's kind of frustrating? It's not intellectually honest for you to just sit there and act like they do no wrong. But I mean, that's like typical of a lot of the people on the right and the neoconservatives, and I don't get that.
Okay, so
why can't we just call right from wrong?
So you're saying that I should be blaming Israel for what happened in the attack?
No, but I'm saying you should at least be open to the possibility that maybe they could have done something.
Open to the possibility that maybe they could have done something. So like that Bibi sacrificed his own people because he wants to make a what is it? What's one of the accusations that they want to make a Suez Canal through Palestine, and they have to kill them all first?
Well, it's just like Pearl Harbor, right? So they needed to get into the war, and so they're going to allow this attack to take place because then they can get American support to get into World War II.
9/11.
So if you have a stage an attack against your own country, like this 10/7 could be, and yes, you just blow up some concert goers, you'd have to take some hostages. They had helicopters, Apache helicopters. They were just indiscriminately shooting people. They didn't know who was what. And they had advanced weaponry that was there.
Let me pause there.
We saw the cars all from the parking lot, from the music festival. They were blown up with advanced weaponry that Hamas does not have. So how did that happen?
You know that Hamas doesn't have weaponry that could.
Do they?
Do they not? How do you know that?
How do you get that in
definitively? There? And in war,
I don't think anybody disputes that.
Pat Tillman was killed by friendly fire. He was
but that wasn't like advanced weaponry. It wasn't like his body was melted. It was shot.
No, but you're saying that helicopters fired on cars.
Yeah.
Yes, in war, people die and there's collateral damage, and war sucks, which is why I loved the Abraham Accords and what President Trump did. They were living in peace until Hamas did what Hamas always fucking does. Why am I picking a side? Because I'm sick of fucking hummus, dude. I can't fucking stand people living in peace at a music festival. And it's like, no, the Jews did it to their own Jews. God damn it. That's the best story we've got here. Fine. Everything's a conspiracy. And look, it's proven out over time. I get it. There's false flags that get us into war, but I need more evidence than a box is light. Well, what the fuck's in the box? Did we see inside? Well, the health ranger said it. That's not fucking evidence. Well, Apache helicopters did some damage. Too. Yes, they're shooting because they're under attack. They're blowing shit up because it's a war. Wow, I'm so surprised. That's a smoking gun. The Bibi did it. I need more concrete here. It's just you're always believing the Palestine lies in propaganda. You never believe the other side's lies in propaganda because it's all lies in propaganda.
I condemn Hamas.
It's all lies in propaganda.
Okay, no, well, I condemn Hamas and I condemn the attacks. I condemn Nazism. I condemn anti-Semitism. But I can also say both sides are involved in committing some war atrocities.
I don't know. I just hear that moral equivalency between Hamas and people that are sick of their neighbors killing them. It's the moral equivalent.
Oh, but it never goes both ways. Israel has never done anything wrong to them.
They're not allowed to go kill the monsters that butchered 1,500 of them, raped them. Really?
Okay, for over the decades, for the decades prior to that, you don't think
deserve it then because they're Jews and they don't belong there. I got it.
Whoa, look at that. Look how you have to make that jump to
There's
all
no
of a sudden,
jump.
like,
you're anti-Zionist, and Zionism.
No, because you can't admit 1%. No, that's a cult behavior. Brian, you are in a cult. You can't admit 1% wrong. Look at that. You can't even say maybe the possibility that maybe Israel did wrong time. You can't even say that.
Being anti-Zionist is saying that they need to get out of where they are. They have no right to that land, and they need to be removed one way or another. It's essentially the Hamas charter. They have no right to be there. They have to go by death or by voluntary action. They don't belong. Get them the fuck out of Israel. That's what anti-Zionism is. They don't deserve that country that somebody put there in 48. You didn't do it. I didn't do it. We woke up in this world. But because I'm on the side of the people that, I don't know, they were peaceful and then they got attacked and butchered 1,500.
They were peaceful. Okay, yeah. You know about the charter and all that from 1988. Yes, where they definitely don't like Israel.
But that's what Zionism is the belief that they should stay in the nation
their
state
ancestral
of Israel.
land, that they should have a right to it. And then the United Nations came in and decided, okay, well, you get, I believe it was 56% of the land.
And so anti-Zionism is getting them out of there.
I don't know if it's anti-Zionism.
You have to say it, because they either have a right to that land, which is Zionism, or anti-Zionism. They have no right to that nation state of Israel. That's what it is. You're hedging your bets like, oh, I'm against Nazis and Hamas. Okay, cool story, bro. So what happens to the Zionists who believe they should have a country? You're saying that they shouldn't. So where do they go? They get butchered, or they have to get on a plane, or they have to walk through the desert for however many and figure out where the fuck they're going.
You're putting words in my mouth again. No, I didn't say any of that.
That's what anti-Zionism is. They don't have a right to that land.
I'm not saying I'm anti-Zionist. I'm skeptical of Zionism. I have skepticism of Zionism.
And they need to
I don't trust their motives.
And Palestine is right. Palestine should take over the
Netanyahu
land.
needs to go. Yeah, and they have to live in peace.
Oh, good luck.
And I've actually did I invite what? Okay.
Yeah, Islam is a super peaceful religion. Okay.
Oh, is it? See, now it's more of the propaganda that you're spewing. Is it all of Islam, or is it radical Islam?
The Intifada Islam, the Caliphate Islam, the ones that read the
ones that the U.S.
and the writings, and they want the entire globe to be a caliphate under one Sharia law, under one Islamic rule. That group that keeps killing their neighbors. That group. That small percentage, you said.
The ones that we fund, right? The ones that the United States funds. And the ones that Netanyahu supports, Hamas, so we can go after his enemies, right? And then we're funding what? ISIS or Al Qaeda or moderate rebels, yes. Or putting in Mossadegh in Iran, or getting rid of them and putting in the Shah. Yeah. All the people we like to fund, right? No, it's pretty disgusting. No, and I don't agree with Hamas or their or whatever their charter.
You're both anti-Zionist, and they need to get out of Israel. So where do they go? How does that work? Because let's cut through the Hitler bullshit. Let's cut through the Hitler and Hamas bullshit. You're anti-Zionist. They have no right to the nation state of Israel. They're monsters.
You're putting words in my mouth again. You can't defend yourself. No, this is why it's. I mean,
just answer the question. You're anti-Zionist, which means they have a right to that nation state.
I'm not anti-Zionist.
You said that yourself 10 times this show. You said it every show we've done since they got butchered.
Right. No, they were supposed to live in peace. They were supposed to have land. The United Nations gave them like 56% of the land, but then they immediately had a war. And that was only something that was put out there by the United Nations. It was not agreed to by the Arabs. But then Israel took 80% of that land, and they displaced hundreds of thousands of people. It's actually millions, because I watched part of this debate last night with Laura Loomer and Dave Smith. And I got some interesting information, but it's funny because she's doing the same thing you're doing. You can't answer questions directly.
What question am I not answering directly? Give me a direct question that I can't answer directly, Blake. I'm so sick of that fucking accusation. And you wonder why I'm tired of this fucking.
Has Israel done anything?
We bicker about it every goddamn show. And oh my God, there's turmoil in the Middle East. It's the same fucking story on repeat, and it has been every decade since they've existed. I'm just tired of talking about it. I don't have a fucking horse in the race. I don't give a shit per se.
It seems like you do. You're a 100% pro-Israel no matter what. You can even say 1% of the time that they might be wrong.
Give me a question.
If they blew up a hospital, is it possible that maybe that was they committed a war crime and that they shouldn't have done that? Can you condemn some of the genocide? Can you condemn some of the actions?
Okay, so genocide. So the Jews want to eliminate every Palestinian. That's where they're at. That's what Bibi's at. That's the accusation. Genocide. So they want all of the Palestinians gone. Everyone, a parking lot. You said. So where are the nukes? If
that's
they
what a lot of the Zionists
say. Would have dropped nukes. Turned it into a glass factory, right? I haven't seen it yet.
Mark Levin said that. The Samson option, yeah. You don't think there's a lot of Zionists that think that they would love to turn Gaza into a parking lot, nuke the shit out of it?
Absolutely.
Turn it into glass? Of course they do.
Absolutely there are.
Okay.
So what question am I not answering?
So is that good? Do you condemn that, Brian, or no?
When your neighbor won't stop killing you, I get pissed off about it. Yeah.
Oh, see, it's always their fault. So is it 100% of the time that it's always...
What was Israel doing to break the peace when it happened a month ago? What the fuck did Israel do wrong a month ago? What were they doing wrong other than existing? Tell me what. That's why I'm so pro-Israel in this particular moment. I wasn't there in 1948. They were sitting there hanging out at a music festival and they got butchered and raped. Yeah, I take that personal. And enough is enough at some point.
Okay, so then
but you're more lenient on the Vegas killings. You say, well, I mean, juvie for a year and then bring them back out. I guess I'm not as lenient because I think bad people will keep being bad and keep harming their neighbors. And you should protect the good people from the bad people. And I think the ones that butchered 1,500 innocent non-military targets are clearly the bad people that need to be exterminated. Those people that killed the 1,500. So yeah, I'm against randomly just launching bombs everywhere. But I mean, it's like every goddamn story that involves any bomb that blows up any building. It's like Israel did that intentionally. They want to go after civilians. It's like, how does anyone know what's going on with the military intelligence that they have? Do they have good information? Do they have bad information? If they wanted the Samson option, I feel like they would have used the Samson option. Now, maybe they could use it tomorrow, and who knows? We'll revisit the issue. But it's like every single case, you're just always backing the butchers. You're trying to give them a little bit of cover, a little bit of leeway, let's do a ceasefire and figure it out. They did what they did and they need to be removed. I'm not, I am very pro removing the butchers.
What does that mean, Brian? What does that mean? So all of them should leave or get blown up. Is that what that means, Brian?
All of the Hamas butchers that butchered 1,500 people should be exterminated.
So all the Hamas people got to go, but all the other Palestinians are cool, huh? They can live there in peace.
I mean, I said what I said. The butchers that raped and killed and did what they did. I don't know. You just forgive that.
I'm cool with that,
just
man.
Go, I don't know. I mean, Israel shouldn't have been there in the first place. They get what they get. They deserve what they got.
That's not what I'm saying. Right.
That's exactly what it sounds like, which is what kind of sets me off here. The moral equivalence. Well, they've both been assholes.
No, because you got to do mental gymnastics to try to protect
gymnastics about that? You're making a moral equivalency.
Okay, did they do 1% wrong, Brian? How about that? Let's just say that again. Is Israel wrong? Maybe 1% of the time.
Yeah, everybody's wrong 1% of the time.
Thank you. 1%. Thank you. Well, most people can't, and so I sit through the Laura Loomer, debate, and it's the same thing. And it's like nobody can ever say, "Hey, maybe we did something wrong." And that's why it's so frustrating, because you can't have an intellectually honest debate.
I'm very intellectually honest about hating the people that butchered 1,500. Tell me what the fuck is wrong with that opinion, Blake. I'm very against the people that butchered 1,500 non-military targets.
Now you got to be upset about
with that perspective.
Right. There's nothing. Okay, I get it. Right.
Do you get it? Because I'm always this and that. I'm pissed off at what happened.
No. Okay. Yeah, I get it.
So you're smirking about it. You're kind of happy about it.
I'm not happy about it.
Anti-Zionists, they need to get out of there. They don't belong there.
That's now you're putting words in my mouth. Now you're putting words in my mouth.
You've said all of that shit in various shows. If they were gone, things would be peaceful. I laughed at that.
If Israel was never there, yes, we wouldn't have all those problems. Yes, that's exactly what I've said.
So where do they go? Just
stand
out of curiosity.
Yes, if there was no right. Well, it's too late now. They're already there. And
you're anti them being there because that's what Zionism is. They have a state, and you're against them having a state. That's very Palestinian. That's what Hamas says. They don't have a right to be there, and we will execute them. It's in their fucking chart. I don't have it memorized, but we could pull it up.
Well, I could actually, I could probably cover part of that because I do have notes on some of that stuff. Yes, on the charter. I guess that was done in 1988. And they basically don't want to live around with Israel. Israel will continue. Let's see. Palestinians have been made offers. Let's see. Allah's its target. Prophet is its model. The Quran is the constitution. Jihad is a path, and death for the sake of Allah is the loftiest of its wishes. Israel will exist and will continue to exist until Islam will obliterate it, just as it has obliterated others before it. But again, that is a section of the radical charter of Hamas, and not necessarily apply to all of the nation of Islam, who maybe just looks at the Quran and are peaceful people. So there's a big difference trying to lump all, Islam into one thing, and they're all radical and they're all hate Israel.
I said the jihadis and the people pushing for a global caliphate. Did I say something otherwise?
Well, as long as we can separate,
I was very clear in that.
Okay, yeah. So do you agree that there's a big difference between the radical Islam and the peaceful Islam?
Yeah, there's a difference between those.
Well, that's good. Okay, well, that's good. Because, Laura Loomer couldn't admit that. She likes to, but you also like to say, oh, if you're in the Palestinian protest, you're pro-Hamas. So
I mean, they're putting out the flyers glorifying the hang gliders coming in. We saw BLM do that in Chicago.
Some may, but not all of them. Not.
Well, what does that mean? Some may, yeah. So okay, so no retaliation because some of them might not agree with it. Okay, so you let them get away with it. You Draymond Green them. You Matt Pengrave them. You just, you're a violent, out of control nut job. But some of the basketball players, some of the hockey players aren't. So I don't know. We'll be lenient. We'll put you in juvie or put you in a timeout for like a 3-minute penalty period or something.
Well, Brian, you want to throw all those kids away for like jail for life. And I'm saying, no, maybe some of them should be in jail for life because they're irredeemable sociopaths. They should not be in our society. I don't believe that they should just, get 10 years or whatever, then they're out no matter what. No, heck no. That doesn't make any sense. But I can't just condemn some 13-year-old to spend the rest of his life in prison because he was loosely a participant in this horrific attack at this high school.
Well, to define loosely a loose participant, that's where I want to be specific on that because there's, like I said, you either threw a kick and a punch or you instigated the crowd, like that guy that that CNN guy that ratcheted up the tension in that hallway so much that Ashley Babbitt was executed by that guy of a different race, killed the mom, the service member, the mother. Occam Razor says someone else gave them land. I think he's talking about Israel. Someone else gave them lands because the same countries don't want them there. Yeah, I mean, this seems to be a tale as old as time. Jocelyn says war is hell. There's no right answers here. Nobody wants war and people to die. Hamas does. Israel wasn't launching rockets into Palestine when this all happened, were they? I just, if we're doing a moral equivalency, what acts of war was Israel actively participating in when they were attacked and slaughtered and butchered? They weren't. Can you admit that Israel was doing no wrong the day that they were butchered?
At that time, no. They were not doing anything wrong to my knowledge. No, I don't see any reason for there to be an attack. And my suspicion is that this was allowed to happen. They were warned about it. Egypt warned us about it. They had the most secure area in the world, and they should have seen it coming. Months in advance. We got it right. But that's and we knew Netanyahu was politically in a lot of trouble, and this was his way. And they went in. We still don't have a lot of evidence of what's going on, and they don't seem to want an investigation. They don't want a ceasefire. They want to pedal to the metal and just blow everything up and sort the bodies out later.
Okay, two quick points. So let God sort them out. If it can be proven that Netanyahu did this to his own people, yes, a public execution on pay-per-view TV, I will raise my hand and be all for it. So if we can find that, I'll be 100% all for it. But they should have seen it coming is dangerously, grotesquely reminiscent of, well, she shouldn't have dressed so seductively. She had it coming. She should have seen her attacker coming. She should have known better. I don't want to blame the victim here for not being able to fend off however many monsters it took to slaughter and butcher and rape 1,500 people, Blake. Just because they didn't catch an attack doesn't 100% prove that they did it to themselves. That's not a smoking gun. The lack of evidence doesn't mean that your theory is 100% bulletproof. Can you admit that?
Well, I can admit that, but so Brian, okay. So what is the motive for the attack then? Why did they all of a sudden do that? Why aren't they just announcing it?
Like, yeah, we just hate
Israel so much.
You read the charter.
It's not the charter's from 1988, Brian. What, all of a sudden that just on October 7th, they just decided,
they did.
Let's just go with the caliphate.
They did.
Why? Because they're
everything.
Is there animals or what?
Everything since 1988 has been updated. We can't even define what a woman is today in 2023.
Okay, that's got nothing to do with it. Why did they attack? Brian, tell me, why did they attack?
Stop, Blake.
Why?
You're saying that what they wrote in 1988 doesn't count because it was written in 1988? Is that your proof? Is that your good argument?
Yeah, they didn't write it like the week before. That would be different, right?
Fucking
like,
care. It's no different. It's still there today. These are the people that butchered them. Of course I picked a side. I'm anti-butchery.
Yeah, unless I'm anti-butchery, anti-violence, right. Anti-genocide, sure. Yeah, I get it. So why did they just spontaneously attack? Why aren't they counterattacking? Why aren't they making an appeal?
Okay,
why haven't
that's
they
another
taken
thing you can
claim
say.
for it?
Spontaneously.
There's a lot of things.
Spontaneously. What's your problem with the day that was chosen? Because if there was a day that was chosen, it couldn't have happened. You keep making this point like it's a point. This is another point that isn't a point, Blake. That's not a proof. There's no evidence in the fact that
so 9/11 was a day to attack.
Yes, right. Everybody picks a day to attack. There's literally no proof in that statement, but you keep repeating it like, haha, got you. They picked a day. Yeah, they picked a day. Every attack picks a day.
They didn't say why. Is there like a motive?
Oh my! I just had to read their words. They hate them. They're anti-Zionist. They don't want them to have that land. They don't belong there according to their charter, and they will do whatever it takes from the river to the sea to exterminate the cockroaches. Where's the reason?
Yeah, it's why on that particular day.
Reason is they will never live in peace next to them. Right. They refuse peace. They fucking refuse it at every turn. They will not accept a two-state solution. They want Israel wiped off. Anti-Zionist. They don't deserve a homeland there.
Okay, so then
the reason is
coordinated an attack. Like, hey, we're just going to go in Israel, and all of a sudden the defenses are dropped, and all of a sudden they're going to paraglide in and just decide to go and destroy a bunch of concert goers. Like what is the? I don't get it.
If
so
you can
a lot of these
that
things
Bibi
don't add up.
I will be with you in voting to hang him on pay-per-view.
That's a big admission, Brian. Thank you for at least admitting that.
Like, I don't need you to talk to me like I'm a kindergartner with the thank you. Can you raise your hand for now, Brian? Can you I don't need to be talked at like I'm a fucking kindergartner. Okay.
Well, no, that's why it's debating Zionists. It's always like that. They can never admit the slightest bit wrong, and so it's like it's pointless even talking to them. But they want to control it. And if you disagree, you're a Jew hater. That's what it is. Oh, you have to go 100% with what we believe, or you're an anti-Semitic Jew hater. So it's bullshit, and I'm sick of it, and a lot of people are sick of it. And I get to watch. This is good for me to see like the downfall of the Zionist propaganda. It's getting exposed big time. And I'm watching, Ben Shapiro or Laura Loomer, who I don't even really have, a personal issue with. But yeah, I'm watching their ideology get destroyed in real time, and it needs to be exposed. It's not because I'm anti-Semitic or I'm anti-Jew or anti-Israel or any of that stuff.
I'm trying to understand the distinction.
We need to have an intellectual discussion about this, see this objectively, and not just run in and just start blowing everything up. No, there needs to be a ceasefire and there needs to be an investigation. And then they can go target and find out all Hamas and get the world on their side. But they are throwing out so much ridiculous propaganda, the 40 beheaded babies or the baby in the oven or, the hospitals or, they're all Hamas.
So you're certain that no baby was burned and no baby was butchered. That's your take? None of those things happened.
Brian, were there 40 beheaded babies? Was there a baby in the oven? None of that
happened.
No, it didn't, Brian. Why don't you show me proof?
Okay.
Show me a source. We've had that talking point has been put out since day one, and it came from the highest levels with Netanyahu. 40 beheaded babies, zero evidence. Baby in an oven, zero evidence. So,
well, today you pulled up an article on your own and showed photos of things, and you said,
"Here's a video,
and here's a video, and that's fake, and that's fake." Everything you see is used against Israel. Every photo you claim is staged. Every video you claim is fake. There is no evidence that would get you to understand or support the other side. I'm convinced that you're not being intellectually honest, and you're only looking at the Palestinian girls, the health rangers and the people that agree with your perspective. I will say with Jocelyn, she says, and they want Gaza razed to the ground to build the super port and the new canal that BlackRock wants. Now, look, if that's what's going on, hang these people for what they're doing. They're butchering, they're staging a false flag to drag us damn near into a nuclear World War III. I'm very against nuclear World War III. I hate this shit. If that is what's happening, that needs to be stopped, and I'm completely against that shit. It feels like that's what they're doing in Maui or in Lahaina, in Lahaina, Maui. It feels like that's what's happening kind of all across the globe, and I'm very much against that. But we need a little bit more proof than we have right now.
Okay, well, Brian, this should be damning. You're saying, okay, not listen to Glenn Greenwald, don't listen to Syria Girl, don't listen to Health Ranger. Well, what about Haaretz? Again, the oldest newspaper in Israel, and it's right out of Tel Aviv. And they're even saying that only 4% of Jewish Israelis believe Bibi Netanyahu is a reliable source of information on this against Hamas.
And Jocelyn adds, this is about.
But you know what? It's 100% in America. The Republican conservative Ziocons, they worship Bibi Netanyahu. He can do no wrong. I can turn on Fox News. They will never give an inch. It is 100. They love him, but around the world, they don't. They question this guy. He's bad news.
Jocelyn adds
to be interrogated.
Jocelyn adds, this is about a land grab. Oil, gas, and land. It always has been. It might very well be. And if that's the case, heads need to roll. Because I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of ginning up wars. I hate what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. I hate what Zelensky and Biden have done to that place. I can't. I just. It infuriates me. I hate warfare. I like self-defense, and I like living in peace. I like living and being left alone. I don't like when anyone tries to impose their bullshit on me.
Right. Well, don't you see a lot of imposing bullshit from Zionists and their propaganda? You like being bullshit about 40 beheaded babies? You don't have any proof for the baby in the oven or the hospitals, the human shields,
okay,
all of this stuff?
My take on that, right. And I've said this before, I don't care about one particular accusation or another. There were 1,500 butcheries that occurred, butchered people, rapes, butchered, beheaded.
So you're dismissing it.
Decapitated.
Right. Okay, well, that's fine. Right. And maybe a lot of it was
actually hung up by one particular accusation. I know that 1,500, what was it, between 1,400 and 1,700. I'm just using a rounded 1,500 number. That seems to be pretty non-disputed, right? There's that many body bags at the morgue. That many graves had to be done.
Let's just say, 1,200 to 1,400. That's about the accurate counts. I don't care if 1,500, 2,000. That's fine. Yeah, it's a horrific attack that everybody has to condemn. There's no doubt about it. But that doesn't mean I believe that Israel can just do whatever it wants because they have a right to defend themselves either. So,
all right. So,
can you agree on that? That okay, fine, yes, this is awful. But do you think committing, 10 times more atrocities?
I played that clip last time.
Is it justifiable?
I played that clip last time. I'm not getting hung up on more people are getting hurt on this side than the other side. I played your least favorite person, Benny Boy, but he made an excellent point. He had some person debating him or asked a question, and he said, all right, so in World War II, more Nazis were killed than the Allied forces. Many more. Are you saying that because more Nazis were killed, many more Nazis, you're saying that it was not okay for the Allied forces to kill many more? They entered a war because of what they did, and now they're crying about the consequences of having that as their elected government, hiding in places.
Whoa! Elected government, right?
Yes.
Those people did not vote for that.
Hamas.
Okay, that was 2006, Brian, and we do know that most of those people that live in Gaza never voted for it.
Am I incorrect? They voted for them.
Brian,
they kept them in there, and they won't stop killing their neighbors. And then they got involved in the war. They're like, how dare you fight back? Like, where's my sympathy level for fighting back the people that just butchered 1,500 for no fucking reason? Okay, oh my God, they've blown up so many buildings. Yeah. Yes, because it's a war, and I hate war, and war shouldn't happen. And if you wouldn't have started a fucking war, you wouldn't have these buildings blowing up. It's their fucking fault, dude. I guess
Putin has a right to go and invade us then, right? We voted for Biden and we're supporting a proxy war in Ukraine. So I guess Russia can just indiscriminately level our cities, Brian. That's according to your logic, right? You voted for Biden. You voted for Biden. You live in America. Somebody in your neighborhood shot a cop. So I guess we're going to have to blow up your whole fucking neighborhood because one guy did something wrong that you didn't vote for. You had nothing to do with. But hey, you just happened to be an innocent bystander. You were there. So it doesn't matter.
It's incredibly regrettable. Damage. I voted for Trump, who worked around peace deals. He went around making peace deals. Peace through strength. I kind of like.
Yeah, I agree.
The first president in our lifetime who didn't drag us into some unnecessary foreign war. I've been against this shit since I kind of woke up to figure out what was happening in the Middle East with Bush. I saw it. I started peeling away from the news. I started backing away from that shit. I haven't watched Fox. I couldn't even tell you the last time I watched Fox. I haven't had cable I can't remember the last time I had cable. So I'm just very anti-war. Like that's it.
Well, hey,
there has to be a repercussion strong enough on the butchers. And yeah, they're blowing up too many buildings. I agree with that point. Any innocent person. Now, what was that quote from Golda Meir? I heard this said the other day, and it's just kind of bouncing around my head. I'm trying to understand it. Golda Meir said to the Palestinian PLO or Hamas, I forget which decade this was or which group was in charge, but they said, I can forgive you killing our children, but I can never forgive you making us kill yours, because there's collateral damage in every war. There's disgusting collateral damage of innocence in a war. And that's kind of why you don't go around starting them. Now, if Bibi started it, fuck him, string him up. Hands down. Okay, hands down. If our CIA has their fingerprints on it, for the love of God, can you please let our people go and deliver us from this evil that's taken over the United States if the United States was behind it? I hate whoever these puppet masters are who are just blowing up thousands of people. The fucking blood on their hands of the military-industrial complex. I loathe it wherever it comes from. But Hamas started this shit a month ago. They're the ones that did this. The blood in their property, the blood in their city is on their hands because of what they did. They started a war, and there's tons of collateral damage in war, which is why I fucking hate war. If it was just two people, two aggrieved parties that would agree to a duel, and shit, we almost saw this in Congress the other day. You go outside, fisticuffs, you and me behind Aaron Burr, sir. And you go out and you have a duel, you walk your 10 paces and you turn around. So that it turns into a hip-hop musical later. Cool. But it's not just a duel between two people. I hate collateral damage. I hate war. I don't want to see a single innocent person. Like the fact that I have to say this out loud.
People suffering in Gaza right now. There's a lot of innocent people. That's why people are protesting. It doesn't mean they're pro-Hamas.
They should be anti-Hamas, anti-Palestine for voting for them. For allowing them to stay in power and not having an uprising
because they voted for him. Oh, okay. Well, then again, that applies to you. You voted for Biden. You voted for Biden, Brian.
I'm working daily to expose Biden and get him removed from office.
You
every day I'm working toward that peacefully.
Okay.
I'm doing whatever I know how to do to expose their criminal enterprise.
Well, maybe there's people in Palestine trying to expose the criminal enterprise too. But you know what? They're fucking dead because they're getting blown up by Israel.
Huh?
Yep.
I'm back. Can you hear me? Now you're frozen. All right.
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. Well, yeah, it's the interesting part of this debate because it's usually pretty one-sided. And I did pull up this tweet just calling out, not necessarily to pull out Piers Morgan here, but just to say, with other people, because it seems like when you're hearing people that are, pro-peace, they're saying, hey, do you condemn the Hamas attacks on October 7th? Yes, I do. But do you also condemn Israel killing over 1,000 kids? Yes. That's the correct answer. Oh, But you'll hear Zionists all day. Oh, I believe Israel has a right to defend themselves. Like, really? This is why we can't get anywhere. It's like arguing with a Zionist is like arguing with a leftist cultist.
I just disagree.
Okay, why do you disagree?
They started a war, and now there is a war, and bad things are.
Yes, now they can do whatever they want. This is kind of like it's like right into Netanyahu's plan. As long as Palestine fires a few rockets first, then they can level the shit out of Gaza, and it's all self-defense, right? I don't know. One of us is frozen, and I'm not sure.
Just for Hamas, oh, they just fired a few rockets. They just killed 1,500 people. You have no right to just launch a 100% full out, everything you have offensive to root all of those monsters out, all those murderous Hamas pieces of shit. You have no right to do that because things will happen on the peripheral and innocents will get impacted. That's called a war. Oh my God, a Zionist. You can't debate them. They get angry and want to destroy the destroyers.
Yeah, look at you.
Oh my God.
I know.
How dare they want to destroy the destroyers?
Right. It's like the constant spinning of trying to justify it. This is okay because Israel has a right to exist and Israel has a right to self-defense. But they can never say, it's both sides. Like, that's terrible that happened. But it's also terrible that Israel is absolutely devastating and wiping out so many people, destroying those neighborhoods that'll never be rebuilt. Thousands of innocent kids dead. And it's atrocious. And some of that is war crimes. And that should be investigated. And those people should be paying a price for that.
Those people are Hamas. Blake. They're the ones that started the war.
See, again, you're going to keep playing. This is watching Dave Smith argue against Laura Loomer, and it just you go circle into circle. It's arguing with the tribalist cultist follower.
Well, what did you want to say about the Loomer and Smith debate? What did you want to say about the Loomer?
Oh, it was great. I think everybody should watch it. I don't think Brian's going to want to watch it, but it's the same thing. And I appreciate Laura Loomer. She's very smart, very aggressive, very alpha, and gets in the ring. But I think Dave Smith absolutely exposed her, and it's the same thing. It's kind of easy to argue with it, and you don't see anything new from the Zionists. It's always the same few talking points, and they can never admit that they ever do any wrong of any kind, and it's very frustrating to see that happening. And so we can sit and criticize leftists all day for being cult followers, but you see the same thing coming from the right. So when it comes to Israel, you'll see everybody change their tune.
I think you froze.
Big picture and say it's on both sides. So, anywho.
All right. Nothing specific you wanted to mention about that? Do you want to talk about Shapiro?
I mean, I got plenty of notes I can go into. That's kind of one of the things I was hoping we could discuss today.
We've been
out in this 2 hours. I know, but I didn't.
For an hour.
You changed a lot of the headlines. I think you wanted to avoid this story for many reasons. I get it, and I'm just trying. Brian, I love you, but this is a part of it. Is just trying to, break this conditioning. To me, it's cult behavior. And it's not. I'm not blaming you.
You are. I resent the fact that demolishing the monsters who butchered. Now, let's pretend I'm in Israel.
Right.
I'm seeing it from the outside. I don't live in Israel. I've never been to Israel. I mean, aren't those the people that killed my Christ? Like what? How much am I supposed to care about that area?
Yeah, even Benny Boy was critical, like it was justified. Like, Jesus, well, he was. They viewed him as like he was trying to make a name for himself. He's a troublemaker, and the Jews killed him. And maybe that's true. I don't know, but it's these are old things, and I don't know. I don't understand why. All the love for Shapiro, and I think his career is in jeopardy as far as I'm concerned. I think he's getting absolutely destroyed all over social media. I think Candace Owens is exposing him even in his own organization. I think people are starting to see through these lies and this shady Zionist propaganda, which we need to go past this. We lived through this during the Bush administration. I already went through it. And you're seeing it play out again. And a lot of it's repeating itself. It's the same kind of stuff. Same propaganda, weapons of mass destruction. It's always justified. Oh, they're bad. They did this. So they took babies off incubators. But we believe that stuff then. Now we're saying it a second time, and now we have to call it out and say this. We're not falling for that again.
To be clear, if there were 1,500 people who killed 1,500 Israelis, I would like to surgically and strategically erase those 1,500 murderers and butchers and rapists and monsters, subhuman people that did that. I want them all erased from planet Earth. I'm a Zionist for that perspective.
No,
call me what you want.
Because you won't admit they do any wrong, right?
I never said they can't do anything wrong. Don't paint me that way. I want everyone that lifted a weapon and butchered those innocent people executed.
Okay, well, what if they're underground and you're going to have to kill at least 15,000 innocent people in order to kill them? Is that okay? Is that justified? Like, hey, I'm sorry about the 15,000 people that died, but we didn't wipe out Hamas completely. All right. Well, anyway, yes. Thank you, MJ Sedona. It's got to go.
But that's war.
But it's war. See, it's always a thing. Well, it's war, so it's okay. Israel can defend itself. Right, but
bye, Jocelyn. Yeah, I hope you found it fun and exciting. It's been exciting, but yeah, I just have more of a vengeance. Hold on,
Brian.
I have more of a vengeance. I don't know what DNA, a vengeance. What am I trying to say? Like a piece of my DNA. I have a vengeance profile that's just, it's up to 100. When someone is done so wrong, so unnecessarily, I take that shit personal. It's like Jordan in that docuseries, and I took that personal. I take it personal. I try to root for the person that's getting abused. I hate when people are in prison and they're getting bound and raped for days until they're dead. I hate 15 people jumping on some kid and just kicking him until he's dead. I hate watching a hockey player lift a 1.5 foot long razor blade and damn near slice off the head of an innocent player. I hate that shit. And I want extreme vengeance. I don't make excuses for it. I hate that there's any collateral damage. Me wanting that vengeance on all those butchers in no way means that I want a single human being, a single innocent human being to suffer. That doesn't need to be said. I just, the perspective that I have is called like crazy Zionist. It's like,
Brian, a lot of those innocent people are seeking refuge in hospitals or a refuge camp or churches, and they're still getting blown up, or they're maybe in ambulances and they're getting blown up. So there's some atrocities being committed over there.
And you're blaming too much firepower, and I'm blaming Hamas.
Oh, too much firepower. See, the way you're still spinning this, Brian.
Well, I blame Hamas for everything that's happening right now. You're blaming the people that are going after and avenging their fallen. I don't have too much of a give a shit on there. Like,
well, there's a lot of innocent people that don't.
I clearly already established that. I hate that that's happening, but I'm not going to put my hands behind my back when that butcher is still living in the house next door to me. I'm going to get him. I'm breaking the walls down. I'm breaking the windows down. I'm going in the basement. I'm going on the roof. I'll burn the whole thing to the ground. I don't give a shit. And I guess that's probably the Samson option, and that's scary. But imagine if your neighbors wouldn't stop attacking you and your family. How pissed off would you eventually get? Because I'm past that point. I'm so sick of this shit.
Somebody commits a crime against you, you want to go after them and you want to kill them. I get it. It's vengeance. But do you kill their whole fucking family for it? Maybe if you're, mafioso, you want to wipe out somebody's whole bloodline. But isn't it just eye for an eye? Somebody does something and you kill them, right? But you don't go after everybody, and they're all their neighbors, and you just blow everything up. That's okay. And then you're going to pretend like, hey, I had a right to defend myself.
There's no pretending.
How's that going to work?
War sucks, which is why Hamas shouldn't start one.
Okay, so, well, then does Israel take any blame for anything that's happening? Do you think that their methods are okay? We're
talking in circles. Would you like to tell me something specific?
See, I know Brian can't admit it. You can't. I know.
We've done this.
I know. I wouldn't want to be in your position. yes, I do get a little pleasure torturing you like this, but I mean, I feel bad at the same time. I wouldn't want to be in your position where I just can never admit that one side did something wrong. And you got to constantly spin things.
You've already done that kindergarten quiz on me multiple times today, and I've multiple times given you what you were looking for.
Okay.
Right? We were all
giving it 1%. So you're going to say Israel is maybe potentially wrong at least 1% of the time. That maybe one of the hospitals was
yes, Mr. Walley. Some people are 1% wrong sometimes. Yes, Mr. Walley. Okay. I mean, you're talking to me like I'm a moron here.
No, I'm not. You're not a moron. This is happening. I see this everywhere. It's a phenomenon. This is why this whole species is fucked. Maybe we should just flood the whole planet because we sit here, we try to wake people up and see the bigger picture, but then they still get locked into their little cult followings. It's bizarre.
All right. Well, we've gone an hour over.
You, Brian, who I know and love, but yes, watching you defend Israel no matter what, it's wild.
I saw a nation get attacked, and I want swift, punitive measures taken to erase all of the people that did that to those innocent people.
Why can't they? Why is that?
Tell me that's a bad opinion,
right? Why can't we wait?
I have no patience for hearing that. None.
Right. Well, that's exactly what Netanyahu wants. He just wants you to emotionally react, believe whatever he says, blow everything up, and then let God sort them out. And then that's it.
All right. Do you have something specific you want to bring up about Loomer, Smith, or Shapiro? Because I keep putting these up on the screen,
right?
And we just kind of end up on the hamster wheel again. Brian, do you agree that 1% might do? Yes, Mr. Walley.
Fascinating for me. This is psychologically like just trying to figure out what makes humans tick.
Nobody's perfect, Mr. Walley.
I get that. Nobody is perfect. Nope. But yeah, we got a mess. I don't know, Brian. I think we're a doomed species. I'm sad to say it. I don't know if there's any hope for us. I really don't. So
I don't want to get sucked into World War III because of this stuff in Israel. That's for damn sure. We can agree on that.
Well, okay. Well, that's good.
Well, what's the alternative? Then we're signing off on Israel being demolished and the Jews being erased off the map. Like that's the repercussion
unless
of
Iran got involved, which they could if people are sick of this. There's some of these other countries, Turkey or Lebanon.
It's on its way. And Speaker Mike Johnson, his very first act was to fund Israel.
I would love Israel.
$33 billion in debt, and that's what our speaker gives a shit about. Yeah, I got problems with this stuff. It's kind of like let them handle their business with the people that murdered them. I don't want to fund it, and I don't want to send my neighbors and my family members over there. Can I hold those two contrarian positions? Because they will get wiped out. They will get swarmed and they will get erased. It's going to happen, and I don't know what else I'm supposed to do about it. Why is that my fight? Because of what somebody did in 1948. I hate that this shit. I hate this topic.
Right. Do you think the world would be better off if they said, "Hey, Zionists, you know what? You can move anywhere you want in the United States, any of these westernized European countries, but, I don't know about Palestine. That could end up being problematic for a lot of different reasons. And we don't know if we can protect you. And I don't know if everyone's going to get along. Maybe this isn't such a good idea." Would you be on board, or do you think this is an experiment that could work? I think after 10/7, it's off. All bets are off. But
I mean, isn't that the land of Jesus Christ? Like, why doesn't that become a Christian land?
Because Jesus was a Jew, and that was Jewish land. So Israeli land or Hebrew land. Land of Abraham. Land of Moses. The Holy Land. But I don't know if that fits in with the Russian Trotskyites of the Bolshevik Revolution, trying to make a claim. The Ashkenazi Jews, the what would you call it? Oh, the Khazarian Mafia, as some may say. Going into the conspiracy theory. Yes, that has been.
I don't know that it's much of a conspiracy. I think it's never been more out there than it is right now.
Yeah, I could agree with that. So, divide and conquer.
Yes.
Well,
did you? I'm trying to find this. Trying to find the Adam Carolla video that I sent you. I'm looking through the. Oh, there it is. Perfect. What did I have a timestamp on it?
Yeah, you did. You sent it to me. I mean,
trying to find the time of it.
What talking points are there that we haven't discovered or we haven't covered? Yeah, Israel's a westernized nation. They're a better culture. Yeah, agree. Okay, yes, they got a right to defend themselves. Yes, they have a right to exist. What is there in there that we haven't covered before?
No, literally exactly what we're talking about. I just cue up the segment. I'm just trying to find where I should play this from because
well, maybe I can find it. Just it's like 32 minutes or something about that. I don't know. If we want to play, I know we've already been on the air 2 hours and 39 minutes, so maybe it's time to unwind it. Like I don't think there's anything that massive about it. That hasn't nothing I haven't heard before. You said 31, 36. I think it's closer to 32 or something like that. If we want
31, 30, where do you see that? Okay, I'm glad you found it because I can't find it. 30. Oh shit, it's right here. Sorry. Okay, yeah. Let me play this real quick because it's kind of what you were saying. Got to double click. No, I don't want to play a free YouTube ad.
Yeah, it's the same stuff we've heard before. I don't hear anything new and refreshing from the Zionist side ever.
What do you say, 31 and a half?
Okay, well, you do. 32, probably 32 something.
Okay, let me skip this. Let's play this. 30. Oh, there we go. Yeah, just to set it up here. Come on. Yeah, it's frozen. Now let's just get it going. There, 31 and a half. Okay. It's from Adam Carolla's podcast. It's kind of what you were saying about just get them out of there. If it'll play. Is it on the screen? Did we double click? Okay, play.
Turning into a woman.
Oh, wow.
And I said that in front of Dr. Drew and somebody else, and they were like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's the world's greatest athlete. And I said, he's turning into a woman.
Weird take.
And they went, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't know what I mean.
Wow.
But he's turning into a woman, and I can tell.
This was your use of the power Amy Adams had in Arrival, but you just used it to project a transgender person.
Yes. And I said Donald Trump would be president in 2016. I called the
You did.
I called the date. Yes, it's on the internet. It's chronicled. There's tapes of it. I call things, and then they come to fruition.
You're out there calling,
and then I get no credit for it later on in life,
except for credit.
Except for when I bring it up.
Yeah, no, I understand. That's show business.
We need.
That's why I'm out there. I'm like, nobody's saying it. I'll say it.
I'll say it.
This guy's funny. Yeah.
Pete Holmes, great special. All right, so about coming on to 10 years ago, I wrote this in one of my books called President Me.
Edit that out.
And and Dawson has it. Now, I'd forgotten about it, but somebody tweeted this to me. And I've got some stats, some numbers. I brought receipts.
All right.
So we can unpack
that. Is your energy. A man with a wallet filled with receipts.
That's me.
That's how I. Do you know Adam Carolla? He's got a wallet overflowing with receipts, and be like, I got the type.
Even a shoebox.
So this is your address to the UN.
This is my address to the UN.
And to all the assholes, American or otherwise, who talk about Iran and nuclear weapons and say, why can America have nukes, but they can't? Because we're not insane. We don't want to wipe Israel off the map. We're not into genocide. And by the way, when it comes to that, it isn't genocide, it's jealouside. The Jews are so much better than you. That's why every couple hundred years, someone attempts to round them up and kill them. You envy them. Jews work together. They draft each other like a great NASCAR team. Confused looks from the assembly and sporadic whispers of, what is NASCAR? You're all out shooting each other and fighting over which version of the bullshit you believe about Muhammad is true. Meanwhile, the Jews are building universities, hospitals, and satellites, which leads me to Israel. What the fuck are you guys doing in the middle of those homicidal, anti-Semitic, misogynistic, religious zealots?
It's this part in particular that I found to be interesting because it was.
Yeah, because I'm just finding this to be like really boomerish, inappropriate, really, I don't know.
Yeah, you got something against boomers. You don't like what you don't like.
Well, I don't understand. I love Adam Carolla. I grew up on Adam Carolla. He's highly influential to me in the 90s and Loveline and The Man Show. But I don't care about his political takes. I mean, I'll listen to him. I'm not offended by it. I just think this sounds ridiculous. I don't think he's like, making a. He used to make like really good, interesting intellectual arguments about things. And I just think this is lazy. Sorry.
No, well, maybe that first part, the intro, but it's a part about the roommate that was the part I wanted to play. The roommate part is the part of this that sticks with me primarily. The main reason I'm playing this is for the roommate part.
Which leads me to Israel. What the fuck are you guys doing in the middle of those homicidal, anti-Semitic, misogynistic, religious zealots? I know what your answer is. It's your land. You want it fair and square, and you're not going to move. That's like saying, my roommate's a paranoid meth head. Twice a week I wake up and he is standing at the foot of my bed with a machete. Then when someone says, why don't you move out? Your answer is, and lose my cleaning deposit? Audible boos from the Palestinian delegation. Shut the fuck up. You know it's your fault.
You put in heckles.
I hear a lot of talk about how all anyone wants is peace, but the side of the fence where it's only Jews looks pretty good. The other side looks like a thin slice of hell. Face it, they're a better culture than you. I don't really have a foreskin in this fight, but I do have a solution, Israel. You guys pack up and move to Baja. It's got plenty of seaside deserts. You'll love it. Here's the plan. Mexico usually gets drunk and passes out about 8:30 in the evening. You sneak in under the cover of darkness and take over before they sober up. The only real difference between the Sea of Galilee and the Sea of Cortez is world-class sport fishing, and you could get that country's economy back on its feet in no time. They need accountants. Ironically, Mexico is short on bean counters. And don't worry about the sacred land stuff.
Let the record show I whipped at that one.
Once you get established in Baja, you can send some Mexicans back to your land to scrape off the top 6 inches of soil, spread it out over the peninsula, and start fresh. Once your old neighbors realize they are out of Jews to kill, they'll start killing each other.
All right. So now I brought receipts.
So I found that interesting.
What is so brilliant about that? I'm sorry. I just think that's lowbrow, just stupid shit. That's not, I like Adam Carolla. All right, the comedy and not the sophomoric political views. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, tell me what you think is good about that.
You didn't see the correlation between waking up with a homicidal neighbor holding a machete at the foot of your bed twice a week? It's exactly what it's like living next to these people. They want them dead. They will not stop until they butcher them all.
Do you really believe that? Okay.
They've been attacking them since 1948. Yes. And so then it's like, well, why don't you?
Secure region in the world. You think those people?
And then the reaction of, well, why don't you just get out of that apartment? That roommate you have is nuts. What? And lose my cleaning deposit? And that's kind of what you keep saying. It's like, well, just get out of there. Everything will be rainbows and happiness. If they just leave, the world won't have problems anymore. Go to Utah, go to Afghanistan or Kazakhstan, or Adam Carolla said, go to Baja, California, or the Baja Peninsula down there in Mexico. But it's like, well, I will stay here. I am not leaving. This is my state. This is where I live. Damn it, I'm not going anywhere. Well, it's like if your roommate in that place is a nut job, you lose whatever security deposit you have and you get the hell out of there to save yourself from the craziness. I found that to be very interesting to resettle the whole country somewhere else. And that's something you keep bringing up, being an anti-Zionist, anti them having a nation state where it currently exists. That's the definition of anti-Zionism. You shouldn't have the state of Israel. I'm not putting words in your mouth.
Should not have, as in past tense, as in if they never formed that country and took that over, then we wouldn't have the problems. That's not being anti-Zionist. Anyway.
Yeah, like he was saying the same thing about just get out of there, and you've said it. I've never once considered round up all the Jews and evict them from the nation state that they currently have.
When I mentioned that, I said invite them. I said I didn't want the Palestinians necessarily brought here. Yes, Israel or a westernized culture, and that would seem to be the better solution of the two, because they're still on an island no matter what. So they're still going to be surrounded in Arab lands. Whereas if you took Israel out of there and it was just all Arab lands, and they could live in peace amongst themselves. So if one group had to go, then it would. I think it's obvious that obviously the Israeli people would have to go. That's the only way to really ensure any kind of peaceful solution. And if it's not a peaceful solution, it ain't our problem, because we don't have to be allies with whoever's there.
There you go.
That's true. Take it to the bank. I'll happily debate Adam Carolla if we could do it.
Well, you guys are both saying the same thing. Pick another spot and get out of there. And it's not because you don't deserve your land. It's because your neighbors are nuts, and they want. You keep waking up with a machete guy at the end of your bed. It's like,
is that really how many people are just the crazy machete guys that just want to come in there and kill them?
They run Palestine. They keep getting.
I think I would be a lot more. Brian, who do you think's more terrified of their neighbors, Brian? Who is more terrified of their neighbors? The person living in Gaza who has no First Amendment, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment, who's got no running water, who lives, just shoulder to shoulder with a million other people? Or is it the Jews who have the most secure security state in the world, and they got the backing of the United States and all the weaponry? Who do you think is more afraid of their neighbors? Yeah, I know, Brian. I won again. There we go. So, right. Point Blake Walley again.
That's your
I could do this all day. So, I don't want to beat up on you, Brian. I like you, Brian. But yes, we had to have this discussion for the greater good.
I guess, man, it's so tedious to me. It's a war and nobody knows what the actual facts are. And it all sucks. And had Hamas not done what they did, it wouldn't have.
Yeah.
There's no yeah. I won again.
Right.
It's so easy to just point this out.
So here's the debate thing. So Zero Hedge, that was their first televised debate.
By the way,
we need a lot more of these. Right.
I've been trying to get to these stories for about 45 minutes.
You don't have to, Brian. In fact, I want to get out of here soon. We're almost on 3 hours. I know you could do a 5-hour show every day. I'm getting exhausted. So I would like to go unless there's something essential that we have to cover that we haven't covered. But I'm just pointing this out for the debate. And I did call out Ben Shapiro on his Twitter handle, and any leftist and anybody that wants to talk about some of the issues that I'm passionate about, that I disagree with other people about.
By the way, I just want for the record to state, the past 45 minutes, maybe an hour, I've been putting these stories up, trying to get to it, and we've kind of ended up on the hamster wheel of circular logic. My question is, do you want to make a couple quick points on this, or do you want to do a separate standalone show for these where you can extrapolate? You had notes. You'd have time.
I had notes on the debate between Dave Smith and Laura Loomer, but that's fine. I could wait another time. It's not essential. It's just interesting information, and it's interesting to watch that particular debate. But it's typical of what I see: a libertarian, a true freedom libertarian versus a Zionist. And it's just like what we just went through, Brian, except it's two other people. So if we do want to watch that, you certainly can. I don't think you will, but you can if you want. It's long. It's a couple hours.
Is it? It's great do you think it's something that you could sum up the most important bullet points to highlight in a couple minutes, or do you think it's something that requires like a more of a?
Okay, well,
that's up to you. Fine. That's your call.
Let's quickly do this, Brian. I know you could do 5-hour shows every day.
I didn't say that once. I'm telling you, I'm out of time, and but I'll go a little bit more so that you can put.
Well, it's the way it's a lot of the right. Okay, well let's just not then. Let's just say, okay, there's a great debate. People should go check it out. It's Dave Smith and Laura Loomer, and they're taking the different sides. For Laura Loomer, she's taking the humane side, the Israeli side, the anti-Islamic terrorist side. You're either against Hamas and condemn. You're either with us or you're with the terrorists. That kind of mentality. I think Dave Smith absolutely picked her apart. But I mean, I appreciate Laura Loomer because she's so alpha and so confident that she walks into it thinking she can just steamroll her opinion. But you just see her going around in circles trying to defend this and never giving an inch. And it gets frustrating. But it is great that Zero Hedge put on this debate. I'd like to see more of them. People were excited to see that. And I called out Ben. I said I would love to throw down on that ring sometime. And I called out Ben Shapiro and any leftists. I would love to do that. So I think it's great. I think it's healthy to have a civil discourse before we, not emotional, reactionary, other problems like the indiscriminate carpet bombing of Gaza. But anyway, without a ceasefire. Anyhow, no, I don't know how much else to get into because I've already got 3 pages, but maybe I could save it for next week. It's the usual talking points, but people will learn something. And this is something that, yes, needs to be talked about. And people need to understand the propaganda either way and just get on the fence and form an opinion. But be open-minded. I wish people could do that. But I don't know. Like I said, I think humanity might just be a lost cause because people are just unwilling to change their minds on certain things, even when you present them the information. And it's just frustrating. Anyway, but it's been delightful, Brian. I've enjoyed this, but yes, it's already pushing 3 hours, and I prefer to cut it unless we've got anything else or anything that you'd like to throw in that we haven't covered.
Did you have a final thought on Shapiro and Owens? Because I know like they're bickering in public back and forth. I don't know if you wanted to highlight how weird Ben's response was to a Bible verse. I don't know where you wanted to take it, but it's a public feud. The Daily Wire's getting into it with Crowder. Daily Wire's getting into it with Owens. Daily Wire, like. That's Ben's company, but it sure seems like he's really just kind of.
He's getting wrecked, I think. I'm seeing it at least on my end from Twitter or X. It seems like anytime he tweets anything, he's getting blasted for it. And I want to see this Zionist propaganda knock down a few pegs. I think it's been dangerous. And it needs to be, needs to be pushback on it, and he's getting the brunt of it. And yeah, I think if it came down, he should step down. I think that was one of the. I think he should step down before Candace, or I would love to see them get into a debate. I'd love to see Ben debate because he gets all this credit for being so smart, but he seems to be always debating like college kids or something, like just punching down. So that's why I called him out on Twitter. I'll do debate number 2. But not that I'm a well-known person, but I'll be happily throw my hat in the ring. I think I can hang with any of these people. And as long as I got the truth and facts on my side, I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody. And it'll be fun. So I like what Zero Hedge is doing. Elon likes what's going on. And I think there needs to be more of this. So more debates. Get in the ring.
All right. Well, then we'll leave it there. I didn't know if you wanted to pull up some of the back and forth to kind of highlight what was said and what was said in response. Or if you wanted to just find that on Blake's Twitter feed at TV's Blake Walley, that's up to you.
How about, what do we got here? This was something Candace put out. Blessed are the peacemakers. They should be called children of God. Blessed are they should be persecuted, righteousness' sake. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's a biblical verse. I'm not trashing it or anything. But then Ben Shapiro says, Candace, if you feel taking money from the Daily Wire somehow becomes between you and God, by all means quit. And then Mike Cernovich said, it must be too expensive to fire her. You would be paying out all or some of the contract. Anyway, chill out, man. You've been wrong about most everything from Trump in 2016 to the COVID vaccine to the Middle Eastern wars you supported. If anyone needs to pray for humility, it's you. And a lot of people agree. There has been here's a great meme that's
I tend to just as a general I tend to kind of agree with Cernovich way more than most people. I think his takes are usually kind of spot on. Nobody's perfect, but yeah, I mean, pointing out that Ben was so wrong about Trump in 2016, so wrong about the vaccines and COVID. And by the way, go to WHO.whatever. It's scrolling at the bottom, countervailing views. But what is this meme? Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens, Michael Knowles selling quality cigars at a competitive price. That's a funny meme. Yeah. Quality cigars.
Yeah. So
That's good.
But yes, I think that's a voice of reason. And I've told you before, I think, Ben Shapiro is probably one of my biggest ideological adversary of the last 20 some years.
Benny boy.
On most issues. I think I would absolutely mop the floor with him on any kind of debate on all of the issues, because he's always been a neocon warmonger from the beginning. Obviously, we disagree on big pharma or Middle East or foreign engagements or a lot of social issues. That doesn't mean that there's been plenty of things that we agree with against the leftists. But yeah, I'd say if on most things I disagree with him. I don't care how smart he thinks he is. I would love to jump in the ring with him and make an example of him. But for his own good, for everyone's own good, because it's a learning experience, and maybe I would, it's good. Maybe I would take some shots too. That's fine. I'm willing to do that, but I think I would beat him on most issues. So, anyway, that's about all I've got, Brian.
So I guess I must I would probably mop the floor with him since I scored so many points on you today.
No, I don't know if you did, Brian, but I mean, that would be up to the audience to decide, because no, I still don't see a lot of good points from Israel, and I still don't see you giving in much. Again,
yes, Mr. Walley, everybody's wrong at least 1% of the time.
It's all right, Brian. I know you're terrified to admit just that Israel does anything. Try to take that kind of libertarian stance of non-intervention, or right, because you don't want to get you're going to get destroyed you're going to get kicked out of the cult like the leftists. You can't disagree on any of the issues. You're going to be gone. You're going to be
I don't report to anybody. I'm not in any.
That's why I'm curious. Why are you so almost like 99%?
They got butchered, pro-Israel, and they have every right to just
right. And keep spinning. Right.
All right. Well, we will continue talking about it. We'll get our 2 minutes hate turned into
Laura
2 hours.
Thought she won the debate too, but yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe that's what we're doomed for. We're just gonna keep talking in circles, and it's gonna be the hamster wheel time.
Yep,
hamster wheel. Well, look, we let it rip today. We finally let it rip. But look, it's called agree to disagree. We're allowed to have differing opinions. We're allowed to not understand the other person's perspective, or at least hear what they're saying, acknowledge it, but maybe you're not going to convince me. You felt that way. I felt that way. The viewers will feel their way. Jocelyn said she found it what'd she say? Exciting, an exciting debate.
Yeah,
it was spirited. It was spirited. I'll take that. It was honest to you. It was honest to me. It's how we feel. We're trying to make sense of it. And I would definitely like for, like John Lennon, let's just go peace, man, and just stop all this craziness. I'm all about that life. Libertarian, live and let be. Don't impose your shit on other people. Don't have them impose it on you. I dig that. I'm a fan of that. So, okay, let's pause for now. And we will be back on Tuesday with an episode of the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media, because the old American Media has failed you. Blake Walley is at thenextlevelnews.com and on Twitter, X at TV's Blake Walley. I was trying to read super fast or not read, but I spoke it super fast in honor of little Benny Boy. Did you get the reference?
Oh, a little bit, yeah.
And go ahead to use the promo code Agree to Disagree for your helium sleep mattress. No.
Oh, he's unwatchable because he does that. He takes himself so seriously, and he's got that fast-paced cartoon voice, and then he'll just jump into an ad at random times, and it's just like, really? How does this show get that big of ratings? I can't believe it.
I don't know. I haven't watched any of his shows in years. If I'm not scrolling and catch something accidentally, it never pops up and I never see it. But I'm doing an impression of Tyler Fisher's impression of Ben Shapiro. That's the only reason I knew the helium sleep mattress, because he does it and he does some of the best impressions on earth. Go see Tyler Fisher as well. Okay, signing out for the New American Media. I'm Brian Engelman. That's Blake Walley. We appreciate you. We love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Peace.
Thanks, everybody.